And welcome everybody back to the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by Moza. You guessed it, folks. We now have the Moza as the title premier for our equipment here for Team USA. I might know. Joined alongside me tonight is none other than the commentator of the year from Syracuse, that is Mr. Carson Gass. Carson, how are you doing on this fine evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever these folks are in the world?
It is my first time back from upstate New York, so I am great. It's so much warmer here. I'm excited for some very heated action on the track today. Indianapolis, obviously one of the most fun speedways to go to, and some IndyCar racing, which you don't see too often. I think even on streams. I'm so excited to get into this one.
The Brickyard. We go down to the Indianapolis for what's going to be a prelude to the Indy 500. We have 100 laps here tonight, 250 miles for the drivers to be tackling in the IR18. The qualification is not going to be your standard Indy qualifying with 3 laps added up and then average. No, it is going to be the fastest lap out of 4 solo laps out on track on the full-on Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This track, 2.5 miles of pure action. And, you know, it goes all the way back to the early 1900s when this track was laid out with over 3.2 million bricks throughout it. That is where it gets its nickname, the Brickyard, or the Goat Track, or whatever you want to call it these days. It's now just has a small strip down the start-finish line, which tonight we're going to have 1, maybe 3 drivers, well, 2 for sure, as we have, of course, the women and the open category taking victory. And they get to kiss the bricks and have a sip of that world-famous milk. Carson, I forgot my glass of milk.
Ugh. It happens. I'm lactose intolerant, so I'll be skipping that part. But I would say no longer brick, but it's still going to be a bumpy ride. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway tracks are extremely fast. These are IR18s, and they get very quick. They get very dangerous when you're side by side. And one wrong mistake, and it is one heck of a punishment, Mike. You go into the wall. Your race is essentially done at these kind of speeds that these cars are going. It's almost impossible at a certain point to keep it all together, and there's going to be some drivers out here who do not see this 4th or 5th lap.
Yes, we're going to be seeing a couple bumps, a couple bangs, and everything in between. It's a rough riders race out there for the Indy cars, and with speeds of traveling near 250 miles an hour throughout the entirety of this one, one small little mistake is going to cost you massively, and it can cost you in a big, big way. Now, checking out the format here as well for tonight, I'm just double checking if we have any fast repairs on offer, and looking at it, I do not see any, so they are going to be, well, down to the mercy of the car and trying to keep it on check. Now, of course, there will be one green-white checkered attempt towards the end as well, and we'll be seeing if that does come into fruition. Now, I did want to talk briefly before we get into it. Qualifying will be starting up here very, very shortly, but I wanted to mention a little bit about Moza, because, of course, they are the official partner here now when it comes to our equipment, and I saved something, chat, for you guys that I wanted to. This arrived last night, so big shout-out to Moza, of course, for providing it, but I have to, we got to peel the sticker together, chat. We got to peel the sticker. Do it on the microphone here. Hope that got caught on camera. Always love the fresh peel of the new equipment there. So that'll be behind me on the entirety of this one. And we are going to be getting into it very, very quickly here, folks. Let's head down to the track and see some Indy cars driving around this 2.5-mile Brickyard.
Yeah, we have got a ton of fun action ahead of you, so make sure you're tuned in. It's going to be a quick 10-minute format for fastest laps, like we mentioned. The fastest one is going to be your qualifying time. It's not a traditional IndyCar format, but it is, a traditional qualifying format if you're a fan of other series. All these drivers alone on track, as typical iRacing provides. If you are not familiar with iRacing, you're just alone on track, nobody but you, and it's going to be you versus the world, as we have, I believe, a fun group ahead of us who are going to have to be racing together, and this is an interesting section because you have to qualify alone and then get right in the car and deal with a bunch of other cars right around you. In the Indy 500, or Indy 250, I should say, for tonight is all about racing together.
Yeah, this qualifying, not so much. We got solo qualifying out there, so the driver's able just to give it their all without the help of anyone else, which would be crucial. So these lap times might even be a little bit slower than what we expect in the actual race session. I do also want to shout out here, of course, with AK Esports on the production here. Minor technical difficulties, as we are going to be fixing that here very shortly. The audio crackling, just a little bit of a, you gotta love live TV, basically, is the general consensus there. You love live TV, folks. Everything works until you go live, and then it doesn't. Now we're working on that quick. But right now, we see the previous winner from the Team USA Talent Scout event round 1, of course, over at Sebring. But the winner, Soto, up on the top. Russell, he is quite the driver. Definitely one of the highest I-rating drivers out there in the session. And not to mention the fact, Carson, that he submitted a little fun facts about himself. Why don't you talk a little more about Russell?
I will stall for a moment here, blatantly and flatly, while I reopen those fun facts. As again, live TV, those notes are fun in everywhere. But Soto is a 24-year-old from Jersey City, living in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So go Wolverines, I suppose. Esports driver for the real-life Mercedes GT4 Insta team phase competition, which is Detroit-based in the Motor City. And I mean, very intelligent driver, of course, is a sim racing instructor at the Superlap Drive Studio in the Michigan area. So much to go over, and we'll save some more fun facts as they get loose in that back end. See it shift out. I believe that may have been a weight jacker issue, as you saw that back end right on the end of that turn.
Now that right there, Carson, you mentioned an absolute crucial part. That was Jordan Johnson that had a little bit of a mishap. But talking about the rear end of these IndyCars, or IR18s, however you want to call it, for trademark reasons and whatnot, Carson, why don't you talk a little bit more about some of that scientific mumbo-jumbo that these cars have?
Yeah, it's extremely complicated, and it's a piece in the back of the car that is essentially just a giant ram that helps the car go up and down. It affects the ride height and the rear right of the car, and it's a huge difference. With a half-inch maximum of travel up and down, it kind of affects how the car rides. And on straights, it lifts up the front a little bit to get more air in that front section. And it's crucial to winning these races. It's crucial to getting faster times, but bringing it up and down at the wrong time. Spelling doom if you don't do it right. So it's got to be perfect, or you're not going to win, essentially, because somebody out there will be better than you if you can't be perfect. It feels like in some of these races with how talented these drivers are.
Absolutely. And again, just working on those technical difficulties. Apologies on that, folks. Again, the live TV, you love it. But we're going to be seeing these drivers live out there on track. Soto still unbeatable as of right now. Ricky Paz not too far behind. Bronson Turner bringing up third right now in the 81. And we saw, of course, Jordan Johnson, he's back out on track and looking to set a slightly faster lap than he had rocking 9th. Chad Fry in 10th. Curtis Rogers in 11th, and then Sean Roberts yet to set a valid time, 41 seconds, it says there, but my time charts don't quite agree. Either way, it says he's up there, so he's up there.
Yeah, and the qualifying section is going to be interesting, because when you're about the 4 through 10 section, you're not really in an excellent spot where you want to be there. It's going to be very tough, because accidents are going to happen. This is how this works. It's an extremely dangerous track, going extremely fast with only tiny margins of error. And I mean, if you're a stringer or Bolivia right now, it's going to be a really big struggle, because if an accident happens in front of you, you're going to have traffic in and behind you. But if you're not
are so tight. This is, of course, the nature of the oval racing when you have 2.5 miles. Well, yes, that sounds like a bit, well, it's actually shorter circuit track. You see some separate lap times, but down to it, we can see tens of thousands separating the drivers, and the human blink of an eye, about 0.2 of a second, which is the gap between Paz and Soto, a little bit under that, in fact, and through, hopefully the audio is now back, but Paz, 39.4 compared to the 39.5. Again, the margin's so extremely tight, Carson. Well, that's a great question, Carson. I think we're going to be seeing a couple cautions, more than likely, throughout the entirety of this one, but we're gonna go at least 5 laps. I think we can make it 5 laps. Well, the thing is though, Carson, because it's interesting, right, where we talk about how many laps these drivers are gonna end up. If they make it 5 laps, I see them going about another 10 before something does happen, but if they don't make it the 5 laps, it's all gonna be boiling over on lap 2.
Here, and you're not going to go in there and be super hyper aggressive all of the time, especially in a lap like this, because it's racing together. If you've practiced or done an IndyCar race before, you know on these types of tracks, it's all about slipstream. It's all about staying behind. It's one massive game of chess, and they talk about how Daytona is chess at 200 miles per hour. This is chess plus 50 miles an hour, and this one is a lot more confusing. It's like 40 chess. Fuel and another one of the different strategies. This is all what this event is about.
Yeah, certainly is, and hopefully, again, the audio seems to be... We're just having some minor technical difficulties here and there. I am all... Okay, here we go, I see. So, as we go through here and, of course, get the minor technical difficulties fixed and through it, we'll be talking more about the race and the session down. But, Carson, mentioning that slipstream is going to be crucial. And to be fair, with only the 13 drivers that we have out there on track, it's going to be difficult. We're going to be seeing a lot of the drivers pitting right around the same time, and that is going to cause chaos through the lane. Goodness, Carson, that warms my heart to see. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is when you don't practice your pit entry, so this is a nice reassuring one.
Very nice to see cars be together in the sense of you do not want to deal with penalties, and you are allowed to cross the white line, but if you cause an incident while crossing said white line, it's, you know, the same case as if you caused a normal incident. You'll be receiving penalty. Likely, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of penalties, because typically when there's an accident, you will pay the price. And it's a high one in these cars because, I mean, at a collision of 250 miles an hour, it's going to sideline you from the rest of the race if something goes wrong. And you have to imagine, hopefully a lot of collisions are going to be at slower paces, if anything. We have to see what we can do for all these drivers here as they take their pits and go into this turn 1 section, which is one of the most difficult sections as on the restart you go. See how crazy these restarts can get as they go one by one, and it's a really weird format you have in Indy, and I really, really appreciate just how unique it is and just how fun it is, even though we're not doing that traditional qualifying timing sense.
And, you know, when it comes to tradition here as well, there's something that I often love to bring up about this fact, or about this track. You know, I mentioned the Brickyard and all of that, of course, the famous brick track that it used to be. Now, that was the old layout of the actual circuit. There's a older layout that was purely dirt, and Carson, it was a little different type of horsepower racing around that circuit back in the early 1900s. And for those who maybe watched the Kentucky Derby that was on today, they'll be near and dear to their heart. They'll know that this track started its day off as a horse racing track. Now, each car unleashing about 700 plus horsepower per machine, which for a total of thousands and thousands of horsepower on the entirety of the field, a bit of different racing that we see.
Yeah, I believe, if I'm not wrong, horsepower is a fun little stat. I don't think it's a horse is approximately 1.5 horsepower. Which is my favorite stat about horses ever.
Because it's the rotation on a grain mill, right? The horse on how long it takes them to rotate around a grain mill is what determines a horsepower. It's something along those lines. I haven't refreshed myself on that one too recently, but it's probably one of the most useless forms of, rating. I don't know, the weirdest form of measurement that America has. It's definitely up there.
It's definitely weird, and I don't know if it's just America that uses horsepower in the sense of, like, I mean, yes, it's an obligatory rating, but, like, would you be calling cars 5,000 grain power? Is that something that makes a makes a lot of sense to me, honestly, because I feel like horse racing, when you're driving cars, you think of racing. I have to imagine that horsepower is one of the better terms to use, but it definitely is not a horse. You probably should have just done, I don't know, car power, one whole car.
What's a torque, anyways? And we'll move swiftly on from that one as we can debate this one into the next century. Let's talk a little bit about the track right now. This is the warm-up that we're seeing out there, and the first time that we get to see all the drivers out on track together. And you can see they're starting to develop their little packs and their quote-unquote friendships is what we're going to call them for the time being. Of course, a friendship can often turn into a deadly, deadly excursion in a very short time. Oval racing, it tends to be the nature of that, and not just Indy. That's also, of course, for NASCAR, for trucks, for any form of any types of dirt as well. It's just a boil over and then pile-ups. They can happen. These cars, they're upside-down airplanes, Carson, but it's not uncommon to see them turn into a full-on airplane.
Especially here. I mean, you're talking about there's so many situations where that partnership can go very wrong. Somebody has to maybe tap the brakes slightly, lose about 5 miles per hour on the exit of a turn, and you just saw how close they can be on those exits. You go right into the back of the other car, both of you go airborne, and your races are over as you slam into the catch fence, and you have to imagine, just got to put it back together, just have to be very calm and very attentive. Nothing can lead to a focus break if you are these drivers, because it can be over in a matter of milliseconds. And especially when you're going side by side, those milliseconds tend to come a lot quicker.
Yeah, no, they most certainly do. It is a game, as you mentioned, it's chess at 250 miles an hour, and that is a truest of true statements. I also wanted to mention that this calendar, while yes, this race is the Indy 250, 250 miles, 100 laps of the Indy track, the next race for the Team USA Talent Scout event is not just that. We have GT3 cars up next. We have a whole variety of different machines to take part in. And if you head on over to initesports.gg/carsim, you can find all of the signups for all of the events. Next up, Watkins Glen 90. The GT3 cars tackle the Northern New York track of the Glen, a absolute classic. After that, we bring down to August 30th, which is going to be the Portland International Speedway. Pretty much my home circuit. Not quite a state down, but hey, close enough. Been there a couple times. Portland International Speedway is a great track to visit. It's a cool venue. Very fun flowing circuit as well. That'll be on the F4s. Also the Bristol Under the Lights. So if you're into the ovals, then this isn't enough for you. We got some NASCAR feller coming up on September 20th. Road Atlanta for the GT3s on October 11th. And the Laguna 45 for December 6th. And of course the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by Moza now. So some big announcements to come in the future. You definitely want to sign up as a driver if you are looking to get yourself in a potential pool of stuff. I know I won't spoil any more information than that, but we'll leave it at that. You definitely, if you have the time, you want to be a part of this event.
Yeah, and dipping into the weight jacker right there, if you just saw that car spin out in the back, that I believe was a weight jacker issue going in on the turn. Something went wrong, something caught the wrong glimpse of air while you were messing with that weight jacker, and anything can put it away. It's such a difficult section and such a difficult drive to do, but I'm going to dip into the bottle of worms you just opened, Mike. It's Western New York. Watkins Glen's in Western New York, but it's in upstate. Upstate is different than Northern New York. It's quite a confusing place. As a new New Yorker myself, it's quite a confusing place to be around, but very pretty in that area. If you ever get the chance to view, go to Portland or Watkins Glen in real life. I highly recommend you do it. For Watkins Glen in the fall, when those fall races are going on, the trees are beautiful around the area, and nothing quite like an autumn race at Watkins Glen.
No, and especially heading down to the Glen itself, as there's a whole lot of stairs as well that you can go down to. The Watkins Glen, I'm pulling up my fun facts for it as we speak, but of course, founded by Dr. Samuel Watkin back in 1842, for those now. Either that's for future races. We'll have to save those facts for the future. You know, Carson, beyond, I mentioned the upside-down airplane kind of premise here with the Indy cars. Do you know they do right-side-up airplane racing here at Indy?
I have never heard of that in my life, Mike. I'm going to be honest, Do you have any more? Do you have any more information on that? Do they just try?
Yeah,
go.
It's the Red Bull Air Race. It's been so it's a world championship for aerial motorsport series. It was hosted back in 2016 and 2017. Now I'm not sure if it's still hosted to this day, but it basically was a barnstorming kind of event. He went through barriers, he went through pylons, got low to the ground, and pretty much just had an all the way around good time flying airplanes really close to things at a very flat circuit in Indianapolis. It's a good time. It's dangerous. I mean, barnstorming is just inherently an extremely dangerous sport, but it's super awesome to watch. And yeah, that was the Red Bull Air Show, or Air Race that we're talking about.
Yeah, as we briefly jump out of warm up, I'm hoping for a barn burner tonight, and maybe we can get some high flying action. Mike, I want to hear your prediction. I want to hear, who do you think your top 3 are going to be in the overall class? Just based on the times you saw, I know you're not an expert in oval racing, but what did you like? What did you see? What did maybe the small things you noticed?
We saw some very tight times, to say the least. I mean, when it comes down to it, Russell Soto with Jordan Johnson behind has a bit of a run for his money. Those are going to be my 2 top picks, but I don't think you can count Bronson. At any point in time. That's the nature of Indy. Jacob Dick taking home 5th with Stanislav Boldariev behind in 6th. Morgan Stringer 7th quickest with Rex Jariwala down in 8th. Jeffrey Simpson taking home 9th with Chad Fry in 10th. Curtis Rogers alongside Sean Roberts for the back row. It's a battle of the Roberts. That's another one you can't keep out. Sean Roberts, he didn't set a lap in qualifying, but he has been putting in the practice. He's been posting some screenshots in the Discord. I'm curious what Sean has. He's maybe one of those kind of sandbaggers coming into it, Carson, but what do you predict?
I think I'm going to go with, since I'm an Illinoisan myself, I'm going to hope Boldariev ends up maybe towards that top table. I'll have them as a surprise 3rd place, and I'm going to go with Soto on top. If you're a New York Mets fan, you're hoping for the same, but have to imagine it's going to be Soto, Johnson, then Boldariev is going to be my top 3, and I think I just said something that went right by your head. It's okay. It's okay. It's baseball.
Over my head like a high left fly into center field. I don't know. Either way, we dropped that one like Aaron Judge did in the World Series, but moving like swiftly on.
I like that one.
As we get ready. As we get ready to talk racing, I see we have some fine folks in chat. A big warm welcome to everybody joining us wherever you are in this fine world. We got our friends over at Trackalicious joining us. We have Lou Salem, I think I'm saying that right, joining us. Aaron Judge catching us. Hey, look, I had to throw it. It's dirty. It was a dirty one, don't get me wrong, but, you got to throw it out there every now and then. Listen, here we go. We have the pace car out. This is the buildup has been complete. The warm-up is done. And we get ready to talk track here for the first time and see exactly all these predictions, all these theories. Well, they're just that. They're theories and predictions. Let's see what the actual execution is going to be. Pace car in for the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by Moza. We are green racing, and it's already a bit of a kerfuffle at the start. It's trying to send it 3 wide in the mid-pack. Maybe want to dial it back on the early stages, but Paz off to a solid lead. Soto slotting in next to Johnson, and we already have a car on the wall rejoining the circuit. That's Johnson, I think, is who that is. No, that's Fry dropping down the order. Simpson, actually, is who had that. So that is not going to pull out a caution because they did not rejoin the track, Carson. We're still green flag running.
Yeah, below that white line is what you're looking for. If there is an accident and more cars into the wall following each other's bumpers, you have to imagine there, and that's a tire down from 50. That's the 50 car. Soto out. That should be Soto out on that right side, and that's going to be your first caution. Some cars into the wall and a lot of broken tires. See if they can find themselves back into this race.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. I don't think there's any fast repairs here for Soto, but getting caught out early, it looks like. Wasn't the only one to do so, thankfully for Russell. He caught it at a very solid time, right to the entrance of pit lane. If there's ever a spot you're going to have an incident, that's where you want to do it. Caution 1 is out. I predicted lap 2. If we made it through lap 2, we would have had lap 5. I wasn't right, Carson. It was still lap 1.
Yeah, I think the pack is going to thin a little bit here on this restart. It already is thinning. You're missing just about already. Just about. That's unfortunately 5 cars that are right, I believe, into the pits right now. It's going to be Russell Soto involved in that incident. Chad Fry, Morgan Stringer, Rex Jarawala, and Jeffrey Simpson, who was on that earlier section, will jump into the replay here. And you can watch what happened. It looked like it was a tale of following bumpers. This is Simpson's first accident we saw on lap 1. Hit that wall, and that doesn't look good, to say the least, Mike.
No, he dipped his tire just slightly too into the infield, caught that inside groove, and then pulled himself down onto the grass. The back end was not too thrilled with the lack of traction in the front, and it decided to overtake him, and the rest was history. This is Russell Soto, side by side for the lead of the race, nearly sending it 3 wide, runs it a bit deep into 3 and 4, and it looks like that was the cost of it. A bit of a self-inflicted error there. Soto just overcooking it looks like, and then, well, everything else happening behind them, and I'm sure we'll catch a replay of that shortly.
Yeah, and I believe that was a case of Soto just kind of going into the wall, and there was drivers following them. Weren't really sure what's going to happen there to them, and you were kind of in a certain situation where they were stuck into that wall, and it looks like Soto back on track there, that orange car going to start in 5th, so not too dangerous of a start for them. Looks like we've got some fast repairs, because I think that's a DNF. If that tire is broken, I wasn't quite sure what they were going to do on that section, but we've got some cars back into the wall following Soto, who are going to have to pit first. Soto very lucky to have gotten that incident into that spot, because now you're not going to be playing catch-up in that 9, 10, 11, 12 position.
This is a replay here of Stringer, so this is that crash that we don't really know what happened, and seeing somebody off there in the front of them, they nearly avoid it, and slowing under yellows, a car behind not doing so, collecting. I think that was potentially Sean Roberts also getting collected in that collision. Stanislav involved, and also Jacob Dick getting involved. So a handful of drivers early on here getting knocked down, but the beauty of this track, Carson, maybe not the beauty, maybe the cool mistress / beauty of it, is the fact that this is such a long lap, and this is not going to be too harmful to the race of the drivers that had a pit stop.
Yeah, when you have fast repairs, those first 10 laps tend to be the ultimate gamble, because the only real time you're going to want to pit at that section is when everybody's on the same lap. Because if you're going to cause a caution, you might as well cause it with a fast repair and early, so nobody loses too much, but the position going to get settled out. Soto should have just waited, tried to go for the lead very, very early there, caught themselves in the middle, and honestly, you're never going to make it work. Lights are out. This is our final lap of caution, Mike. And 4 yellow laps, 2 green laps. Oh, I'd more like 1.8 green laps so far.
Yes, indeed, and hopefully we stay green for a few more, otherwise we're going to be here for quite a while tonight. 100 laps of driving. They're going to have to settle in at some stage here and get their head on their shoulders. This is a long race. This is half, pretty much, the Indy 500. It's 250 miles. Of course, the Indy 500, not representing the laps, it's the miles that you complete, and 500 of them, typically taking around 3 hours for the most part. And you know, it's interesting, Carson, you look back to the original Indy 500, which I'm going off memory on this one, and I cannot remember if it was O'Reilly or something that won it, but I remember that they ended up finishing with an average speed of around 70 miles an hour, and it took them 6 hours to do so, which is just incredible that it was actually that quick.
Yeah, at a certain point, that's an endurance race at that time period, but I mean, I guess cars were slower then, and what you can tell right now is one of the few things is that they are not so slow now as we jump into a very quick restart.
Yes, indeed. The pace car lights out. We're going to be seeing then Mustang, the old-fashioned Ford Mustang, pulling into pit lane. Of course, the new BMW M2 pace car also out on iRacing. I say new. It's basically old news at this point. It seems like an eternity ago that was added in, but a brilliant little machine there. Of course, the BMW M2 free on iRacing as well. Check it out. Here we go, folks. The pace car has been handed over to Paz as he is the de facto leader. No overtaking till you reach the line. We go green, green, green on the restart, and Turner, well, sleeping at the wheel there a little bit. He gets dusted from the front, but don't worry, folks. The slipstream will come into play, and Turner will be right back onto Johnson and Paz in no time.
In those early stages, those late restarts are not exactly awesome, but they are recoverable, and it actually leaves you in a lot safer position. Turner's not going to have to deal with what's going on between Paz and Johnson at the front. Back towards the middle pack, we're watching Rogers here, that 32 pink and white cannon car, pushing forward on that right side, kind of dealing with that purple machine behind, and just trying to fend them off. And you have to wonder, these lines, these aggression levels, what can you do to get past that car in front of you? But you want to do it in a way that's not going to leave you into the wall and leave you with hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage as they go down that left side. Here comes Dick on that, trying to move in on that left side with one more, pushing behind, forward now. And they're going to just go fall in line. That aggression we were talking about, just a little bit lower for that 66 car.
The real kind of elephant sitting on the top of our heads, I feel, is Sean Roberts right now. He's sitting in the background, just looming, waiting for an opportunity, like a lion on the hunt in the Serengeti, waiting for a chance to pounce. Currently, Sean Roberts there now dicing up with Soto as he's alongside of him, but Roberts up 6 positions early on here. I thought there was a bit of a wiggle, everyone under control for the most part. So Roberts up 6 positions, our biggest gainer already. Stanislav up 2, Jordan Johnson up 2 into second as well. So one of the early predictions for me, definitely paying fruition here. A calm, cool, collected head on their shoulders, and well, it seems like everybody is looking for the long run of this one.
Yeah, Paz ahead right now by just 200ths ahead of the other car, but those 2 cars at the front of the field, 2 seconds ahead of Turner and the rest of them. Well, Direv in that 4th position right there, one of our other large gainers there, 2 positions for them as they trail behind by 7 tenths behind that car ahead. And right here on that other section, this backfield is really messy and really just trying to get away from each other. It feels like, I believe this is Dick and Roberts as they go towards that other section. Here comes the lead. For the lead is Jordan Johnson, who takes it away from Ricky Paz.
And Paz really not fighting that one too much. You can see he just moved over to the side and said, all right, Johnson, you go, boy. We're going to do this for a while now. We're going to be trading positions left and right. The slipstream, it's more powerful behind. So by the end of the straight, when you're flat out the entirety of this track, pretty much a great question in chat as well from Lou Salem, who did participate as well in the Sebring 90. So big thank you for that. Shame we don't see out here on track this time, but looking forward to you out on Watkins. This is what it looks like on board currently with Paz, the number 19 IndyCar. Look at that slipstream effect, gaining, 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 and gaining, and you have to lift off. And that's just so you don't run into the back bumper of the man in front of you, Johnson there. He's flat the entirety of this track.
Yeah, starting to feel it in the arms. Or rather, they're starting to feel it in their arms at about lap 30 or 40, it really feels like, with just how much it can be towards that other section. Still on that rear end now of Johnson. Watching Paz slowly approach, like you mentioned, and that lift is going to leave Paz in a position to win. That second place position in a situation like this is going to be the favorable one. You grab your hook in tow and you saddle up into first towards the end, and it's all about defense there. From that first position there, as we see Soto trying to find their way back into another position ahead. They move into 6th, or rather try to move into 6th. Down to 7th off of a poor start in that accident. They're going to get it, but still 2 cars behind. Dick and Stringer trying to find their way together.
Soto driving with a bit of a chip on his shoulder right now. 4 positions down from where he started, and he sees his rival Sean Roberts just up ahead the road from him. Well, I say just up ahead the road, nearly 2 seconds. It feels like an eternity at this Indy track. He's got a long ways to go to catch and no slipstream to help, and also the pit stops a long ways away. You talk about when the driver's arms are going to start to get sore in about 30 or so laps. Thankfully, that's about the time that they come into the lane for a new set of boots, potentially. I actually don't know about that, but certainly at least a set of fuel, or a bundle of fuel. A tank of fuel. There we go. We got there in the end.
Yeah, it's actually, because if you're taking damage, maybe you tap into a wall, a bit of an outside run, and you just maybe let that car go a little bit, and your back rear end maybe needs repairs. Some cars are going to get fresher tires because they're going to need them. Anyway, if they're going to get repairs, they might as well fix the tires as well and just be on a fresh slate altogether, but we'll have to see how those cars go about. Soto back moving up to -4 positions instead Everybody 6th and below started lower than, rather is lower than they were starting, other than Chad Fry, who is right where they began at 10th place in the beginning.
Now moving up the field here to take a look at Stanislav. I think this is who we're looking at here in fourth position currently. Roberts now behind and rubbing a hole on the bumper. Well, the lack thereof, the diffuser of these cars. And, you know, seeing the IndyCar modeling in iRacing, it is truly incredible, as here we see the move on to third position. Turner, I think, going to get overtaken there. Stanislav up into third, now up 3 positions from where he started. So a long ways up the road, though. 1.5 seconds to Jordan Johnson and Ricky Paz, who are just kind of playing the long card right now. You can even see, right, we just caught them off screen. Oh, hold that thought. Oh my goodness, Carson, I thought we were going 3 wide.
Stanislav Boldyrev, the Illinoisan, on that outside line here, moved that position into third place, but still Turner and Roberts on the inside trying to levy for another position. Boldyrev going to keep it, though, on that other end, and they managed to keep themselves alive after that 3 wide section there. That was nearly disaster, and, I mean, 3 wide at Indy is going to work 0 times out of a million, Mike.
Yeah, it's sort of like a sword of Damocles hanging over the head of these drivers. When you go 3 wide, at any point in time, you never know when that string is going to break and it's going to come crashing down right on your neck. That's the reality these drivers have to face. It is a absolute knife fight in a phone booth, and looking at a change in position, that is Jariwala trying to make it back through the field as well. Chad Fry relinquished to 10th, and Rex up into 9th there. So a nice little move on here. The backpack trying to get its kind of everything under wraps right now and gain up, but they are dicing it out.
Yeah, this group together, the 3, 4, and 5 pack, are moving up to the front here, but on that back section, some not so great situation right near as Rex Jariwala and Chad Fry, they fight for position, the 18 in the 8 car. Looking for just the difference between them. They're behind the rest of the field by quite a bit, but these two looking for higher position in front, as Soto, looking to churn up through the field, gets rid of Turner, who has fallen from 3rd all the way to 6th now.
Yeah, he's not taking no for an answer, is Russell Soto. He won the previous Sebring 90, and, well, this may not be a championship. The Team USA Talent Scout event powered by Moza, they're all a bunch of one-off races, but it's all about how you perform under pressure as well as all the way through this championship. And really, Russell Soto making a name for himself, getting into an incident early on, getting knocked down, but it's not about how you start, Carson. It's about how you finish, and Soto getting back on the saddle and getting back out there and really giving it his all, down 3 positions from where he started, but he's going to be gaining more very quick. 2 seconds off the back of Sean Roberts, but the lap times in favor currently, nearly, well, they are slightly in favor of Sean Roberts, but now that Soto is unleashed and able to maybe work with Bronson Turner, are we going to be seeing him gain up in the next, I don't expect 5 laps, but maybe the next 6, 7 laps we might see a battle?
Absolutely. Soto, though, still running slower than that top 2. Just no, I mean, they're still running. Soto's running faster than almost everybody ahead, other than the car right ahead of them. Sean Roberts, the quickest on paper, it feels like so far, has that fastest lap as well. Stanislav Boldyrev in that 3rd position is kind of helping chase down. We've got a gap slowly closing in on leaders as Paz and Johnson have been fighting. Paz retakes the lead, but Johnson and Boldyrev, both of them are closing in on that leader as Boldyrev brings that pack closer together. And you're seeing just how the IndyCar racing works.
This is that pass for the lead that you were talking about here, Carson. And again, I'm assuming we're not going to see too much dramas. More than likely, Jordan Johnson picked the high line, stuck to it, and we're going to see Paz down to the inside. And, well, exactly as expected. That's pretty much a textbook maneuver, but again, I wouldn't call that a pass. This is just Ricky Paz and Jordan Johnson almost working together. Now, that's said with a bit between my teeth, to be honest. Kind of no love lost when it comes down to it, but this is the nature of IndyCar racing. You have to pick somebody to work with because you cannot do it by yourself.
Yeah, you need a dance partner, someone to tango with as you head down through these laps. It's going to be dangerous, and you need somebody that can guide you the way. And Paz and Johnson looking like a perfect pair as they head down the stretch. but they are slower compared to almost every single car behind right now. These two are the slowest cars on the grid, other than Curtis Rogers, who's now a lap down after a little bit of an incident last lap. But these two slowly getting closed in on, and here comes Johnson for the lead on that inside line in the same way Paz passed him earlier for the lead, and Johnson going to be your new leader of this event.
Expect this for a while now, but look at that. While Jordan Johnson and Ricky Paz, they may have been dancing back and forth, trading positions, the gap was 1.2 seconds nearly 4 laps ago. Who is that in the mirror? It's Boldirev, and he is looking very hungry. Ricky Paz and Jordan Johnson looking like a tasty morsel right now.
Yeah, I'm feeling like the smartest person in the world for calling Boldirev into that front as Johnson retakes that lead from Paz as Paz regained it. Moment looking at those gaps, you can see how close they were. Boldirev in that pack behind were 2 seconds below them about 10 laps ago and fought their way back with some collaboration as the two in front. A little bit more discourse than everybody behind, it feels like, as Boldirev, Roberts, and Soto all close in on this leading pack, and Boldirev looking to lead them here, but Roberts not going to not challenge them. Up 8 positions from where they started. You mentioned that sandbagging, but let me tell you, there's some sand in the eyes of the drivers behind at this point.
Yeah, there most certainly is, and this is starting to almost look like the end of a stage, Carson, and there's no stages to be had. It's just going to come down to fuel. The gloves are going to come off is the understatement here of the century. I feel like, look at this. We have pretty much almost every car on screen simultaneously there, all nip and tuck, ready to pounce, and really picking the discretion being the better part of valor sort of line at the moment. We all know that in Indy, cautions breed cautions. We haven't had a caution since lap 2, but if we do, well, who knows what's going to happen.
As they get closer and Boldirev gets into that dance with Paz and Johnson, you have to imagine Paz and Johnson right now, they are the slowest ones on track, but I believe that's intentional. They're trying to save as much fuel as possible. These two are going to dip in last, likely, or going to be the earliest to pit, and if you're Boldirev, you want to push as hard as you can right here. Paz closing in on Johnson, going to use that inside line into turn 1, and going to just get right past Johnson with a real quick inside line maneuver. And this is how it's going to be for a while as they speed up. Ricky Paz up to that 4:1.5 mark, and everybody else is kind of struggling now to reach, other than it feels like a few drivers on the grid.
Yeah, Ricky Paz and Jordan Johnson, they're going to be sweating like a cow in a burger joint at this stage. I think Boldirev is going to be applying the pressure pretty quick, but the problem that Boldirev has right now is that Sean Roberts is right on his back bumper, and he can't focus on the task ahead if you're focusing on the man behind that's trying to get by you quicker than a quick thing in Quicksville. Sometimes you're just going to have to accept it. Let it happen. Boldirev not willing to let this one go. He's going to fight with Sean Roberts, and that's really the only thing giving Jordan Johnson and Ricky Paz any semblance of breathing right now.
Yeah, and as it becomes a battle of car jitsu, if you're Boldirev, you're the second fastest car on this track. As they both gain a rapid amount on that straightaway, that is a diminishing gap to say the least, as they all get real close into this turn right here. And the gap gets shorter and shorter, it feels like. But if you're Boldirev, you want to just let Roberts pass you. Roberts is the fastest car on this grid right now, and paving the path behind Roberts is going to do you a whole lot of good. It's going to bring you towards the leaders and potentially past as you do chess with them in front. But Paz and Johnson again fighting into this turn 1. It's going to be where you see a majority of overtakes in turn 1 and turn 3. Johnson going to make it because they head to that back straightaway.
And this is costing a lot of fuel for our leaders. Now, it's saving a lot of fuel as well. That's the thing to mention. Currently, Stanislav and Sean Roberts, they're burning more fuel because they're going pretty much flat out into every single corner. What this is allowing these drivers to do, every time you see Jordan Johnson and Ricky Paz switch positions, the leader is lifting. They're getting off the throttle slightly, just a little bit, but it's very early before they reach the corner. And that, it might be saving just literal micro gallons of fuel. I don't think that's a unit of measurement, but hey, I'm an American. I'll measure what I want. But every little semblance of fuel that you save is going to benefit you in the long run, because these cars, they can only go 32 to 36 laps-ish, give or take, in full flat-out green flag conditions. And that would mean that could spell an extra pit stop by the end. That's going to be only, well, about 96-ish laps complete. So you're going to have to save around 4 laps of fuel by the end of this.
Yeah, and it's going to really come down to whoever can do it here is
Whoa!
Soto going to go into Roberts slightly. They touch. Roberts into the wall. They'll go on the infield. Shouldn't be a caution. Roberts collects, stays out of the wall. What a job to stay out of the wall there. Spins again. With Boldirev and Soto now left alone. And that's going to be the second caution as they spin on that intersection. Goodness me, what an unfortunate series of events for Sean Roberts. Did Soto get into the back of them?
Well, they got into the side of them. Now, was there a turn-in, or what exactly was at fault there? We'll be catching a replay of very shortly and find out exactly, but Roberts coming out the worse end. Soto, that's not the first time he's danced with, well, actually it is the first time he's danced with somebody else, but not with a barrier. It's not the first incident that Soto has been in this race, and Russell maybe thinking about that, being in the back of his mind, some doubt starting to form in the summit and say, oh, well, am I just a magnet for it? You can't think that when you're in these Indy tracks. Every single second has to be on the metal, and well, here, Carson, is what happened.
Soto on that inside line, trying to make it work. Not giving Roberts a whole lot of space in the corner entry, and it's come together there. Roberts goes a bit down, Soto goes a bit up, and they collect into each other. Luckily, nobody smashes into the barrier there. That is a very lucky break for all of them right there. And Roberts not back exactly where they started because Rogers is officially out now. But Roberts is going to start 11th and is going to have some fun time on these last 10 laps here before restart. But I believe everybody will come to the pits. Yes, everybody will go take some fuel and some tires likely.
Yeah, that's the question that I'm going to ask myself. I'm assuming that since we're under caution, you might as well just take a fresh set of boots. There's no reason to not. But if it wasn't a caution, now would you take fuel? Well, it doesn't matter because it's a caution. According to Tom Bryan, our producer behind the scenes, yes, you would take it no matter what. This is where the chaos and the carnage can come in. Don't miss your pit lane, folks, or your pit box, because that will cost you extra time. So far, everybody on their marks. A bit of a lockup, though, for Russell, and he has to throw it in reverse there. Oh, no, Carson, that's exactly what I said not to do.
Yeah, that's going to be Soto who's going to fall to Boldirev, and potentially more. Soto's in the wrong pit box. Soto is not pit yet. Soto's going to start at the back, and I think maybe facing some karma punishment from the iRacing superiors above for this incident here is going to be Stringer in the pit as well as the other car behind, the teammate of 81, Turner. And there is some not so fun experience going on for Soto, whatever's going on into that pit lane there. Johnson is out of the pits, is in first, of course. Is Paz going to be the one behind? Johnson somehow winning that section off pit road. I thought Paz had won it.
Now, we're having some debates in chat. I want to catch a replay of that, because I'm not going to place the blame on Soto right away. I'm curious, can we get another replay of that from our producer, Tom Bryant? If so, yes, we can. Yes, thank you very much, Tom. Well, we'll get to replay that very shortly. Let's see, because this, I don't know if Russell could have done much, because you see Sean moves down. Russell doesn't really move, in my opinion, and now, should Russell have been there? I don't know. That wasn't the best camera angle to determine it. Let's catch that one more time. After this is just unfortunate. Thankfully, he keeps it out of the wall. But I just don't know if there's enough to place it on Russell there. He almost didn't move.
It's a really close racing incident, but if it's going to be on anyone, I think it's got to be on Soto. Russell staying in that line, you watch that white line is the kind of key, crucial thing there comparatively to each other. Russell doesn't move any lower, and Soto kind of loses that car. That's a tough camera angle, but what Soto does is go back up into the track. And I think Soto is going to be experiencing some karma debt there, and that's, I believe, what happened into that pit lane, and they'll start at the back right next to each other. They'll get some close company between each other as we go two abreast towards this other section here into the final turns, plural. We go, and Mike, we are back, finally. Not a lot of cautions, which I'm thankful for, but we've got a beautiful quick restart headed our way.
Yes, we do. No love lost between the two, and, well, that's going to be a war of a century, to be completely honest. I cannot wait to see Russell will have to climb his way back through the field. This is not the first time he's had to do it. We know it's possible, and it's possible within 28 laps. Johnson and Paz seem to have quite good control of the top of the field, but we know that Boldirev is right behind and quite quick. Jariwala also gaining quite a bit of ground now. Rex up into 6th position after the incidents between Russell and Sean. 2 positions for free? Well, I think he'll say, I'll take that with both hands. This, though, the restart. The pace car lights are out. Once they come in, Jordan Johnson will be our de facto safety car runner, and no overtaking will be allowed until you reach the checkered or green flag. Johnson, how do you control this one? Well, I think it's pretty simple, the way that he's been doing it. Just get on the throttle early, get out into the lead, and then give Ricky Paz the position every time you go into three. It's just a game, back and forth. Here we go, folks. The green flag's in the air, and we go back racing. Jordan Johnson off to a stellar start. Ricky Paz having to slide into second, but almost under threat immediately from Stanislav Bulgarev. Down towards the inside of 3 or of 2. That's not necessarily where you want to be making moves. In fact, that's going to cause Bulgarev to run a bit wide, scrub some speed off, and that kind of puts him out of the running there down the first straight.
Not really. It's going to give him a better exit as they get that jacker back up to speed, because Johnson and Paz are going to be fighting, and Bulgarev doesn't really have to deal with that as they get into the mix. We've got gold, silver, and bronze all together up in front as Fry behind Chad Fry up 6 positions trying to stay with these guys. Got lucky on the draw with how pits turned out, and Fry on that inside line watching as the 3 go, and Bulgarev from 3rd into the lead. What a move!
Absolutely textbook. 3 wide down the start-finish straight. Bulgarev comes out on top, making a statement early in this race. Now Jordan Johnson and Ricky Paz, well, they got a new playmate to deal with right now. Trading of positions once more. Johnson to the inside says, you can take the lead, but you're not going to take it for long. There, they swap it back around, but Ricky Paz, he's sort of fallen off the marker now. Half a second back. Still will be in the slipstream, but that's going to be Chad Fry, also adding a bit of a monkey wrench into this equation. Bulgarev and Johnson, they're just going to be at each other's throat.
Running at the back, Roberts and Soto got into more contacts, and Roberts going to hit the pit there as Stringer, also a lap down, had to stay in the pits for longer there, but Bulgarev and Johnson still fighting up front as Paz chases behind. I'm really proud of Fry, personally, for how well they are doing, but they're going to watch as Johnson goes on that inside line. Paz gets an opportunity to go do the same thing that Bulgarev did if they can get close enough on this turn. But what you're watching here is the difference of lines. Bulgarev not as far down to the inside. It goes a bit to the out and gets that advantage on the straight, which we're going to see here as Paz and Bulgarev chase Johnson. Bulgarev towards that inside line. Paz going to keep chasing Johnson as Bulgarev going to get fully clear before turn 1.
Oh, goodness, this is a boiling kettle that we're watching, and I'm pretty sure whoever put it on has walked away. This could go over in a matter of seconds right now, and it might not. That's the other thing. It could have proper venting. I don't know. 32 laps complete. We still have another 60 plus to go. This is anyone's race right now. Lap traffic could potentially play a role as well here. We'll see if that ends up playing a massive variable. But right now, Bulgarev has pretty much just laid everything out on the table and said, come on, answer it.
Not just any lap traffic. That's Roberts, who is going to be, unfortunately, in front of Paz and causes them to slow down a little bit as they debate where they're going to be. But Paz and Fry, rather, I guess, Has and Roberts falling out of position there. Bulgarev running away with it a little bit now. 2 tenths between those two. And kind of has control of this race right now, but everybody's going to catch up to them because of that slipstream. As you're watching Johnson basically with a roadhog hook to the back of this car right here, just getting closer and closer, and it's always going to be that way. The first and second cars will almost always be together.
Yeah, and you mentioned Sean Roberts being involved with this as well. Believe it or not, I actually think this is helpful for Sean Roberts' race in the long run. He can join up with these cars that he knows he's just as quick as. Sean Roberts' lap times are pretty much on par, if not better, than some of the drivers that he's in a pack with right now. So this will help him out in the long run. If there is another caution, I think he will get waved ahead. I'm assuming he's the first one on the lead lap. Right now, speaking of the other victims or culprits of the collisions, Russell Soto is in the mix with Bronson Turner, another driver that I picked early on, was doing quite well, but since has dropped 5 positions down into 8th, and Soto getting by up to 7th. Next on the list is going to be Jacob Dick, then Jariwala, then Fry, but then there's a bit of a gap to our leaders.
Yeah, and you have to wonder why Bulgarev has been so good, and I kind of am going to guess here that these top 3 cars are all very similar and just how skillful they are. And what you're seeing right now is nearly Johnson on that inside line has to give away to Bulgarev, who went down to that inside line. But you're seeing Roberts as well get into the mix with Paz, and it always is going to happen in a track like this. These top 4 cars, well, maybe not top 4 in the typical scoreboard on the left side, are going to be racing together. And Roberts basically just going to chase those 3 behind, going to try and find a way back to the lead so that maybe if there's an accident, they can be led around. Forward is Bulgarev, though, who has really just got an absolute complete just chokehold on this race at a certain point. The pressure cooker has been unplugged, and Boldyrev is trying to prevent Johnson from putting it back into the outlet on the wall.
He is, but then Ricky Paz in the background. I can't take my eye off him because he's the fastest driver on track currently. Nobody is quicker than Paz, and he's showing it right onto the back bumper now of Johnson. Now, we know that Johnson and Paz were playing that game early. Let's see if they continue it. That's Fry, I think. Chad Fry having a little bit of a drift off to the wall. Maybe, I know a lot of drivers, they often say, especially at Monaco and whatnot in Indy, you want to kiss the wall with your tires. Fry, taking that to a whole nother level. That was a French kiss in America. That doesn't work out that well with the barrier.
Absolutely, and you have to imagine Fry turning those back tires from potato wedges into crinkle cut there. If you are going to keep hitting that wall, it's going to not do well for your car, but Fry, still, honestly, a great race from them. They're still up 3 positions from where they started, even with that drop back. Only in 4th because of accidents, and I think they knew they were going to drop back at some point. And they're now chasing Russell Soto. A good thing for the driver who is, I mean, it's pretty impressive. They've got the lowest I rating and second lowest safety rating here. They're doing an excellent job.
iRating doesn't mean much. Of course, for everybody that is watching this championship, if you're maybe new to iRacing potentially, first off, welcome. It's a great simulator, one of the best ones out there, and it's a great choice to get involved early. A lot of drivers, now I know this for a fact because we had a couple of drivers not really participate in this event specifically because they just don't know the IndyCar that well, and well, that's a bit of an excuse, come on people, but either way, it's a fun time, it's a good time, it's a tough time though. We've seen that for these drivers, that back end, really wanting to step out, especially when you get that dirty air on your car. It can kind of cause the bit of the effects. We talked about the weight jacker on the back that really manipulates the feel of this car and is sort of a very high-level style of racing. Now, the GT3 car is not taking anything away from them. They're quite high level as well. In fact, you make left turns as well as right ones. But it's just a different style of racing. And for anybody that isn't necessarily the IndyCar driver, that's why, again, we have so many variables here for the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by Moza. The Watkins 90 up next. And, well, I certainly hope we get as much action as we have here. This is absolutely a bunch of charging bulls right now. And again, chess at 200 miles an hour, 250 miles an hour. What more could you want on a Saturday afternoon?
I'll tell you what, not much more, but Boldyrev wants Johnson out of that rearview mirror, making an effort into that turn there as Boldyrev, again, just has a handle on that lead. That weight jacker, you're seeing Boldyrev, I think, has it a little bit higher than Johnson probably does because they have less grip, but they're going through those turns at a higher rate and a little bit faster. Johnson a bit more safe into those turns, has better grip, but the Boldyrev, as long as that weight jacker's a bit higher and they can control that car, it's higher risk, but it's going to be higher reward as they get through that turn safely and soundly. But Johnson going to be under pressure from Paz soon, whose times are slowly increasing. Should be around the 50 lap mark that we see Paz put pressure on Johnson fully. But Roberts still in that mix right there, and a very good showing from Roberts, who had to deal with Soto in that accident earlier, who is just charging through the field as they get closer and closer to that bronze position. They make it past Jarawala with one quick move.
Russell Soto saying, fool me once, shame on me. Fooled me twice, shame on me. Now, back up to 4th. I don't care about what I've done throughout this race. I just, again, want to have the best result possible. It's not about the journey. It's about the destination. No, it's maybe a bit backwards, but no, it is true right now for Russell Soto's case. It's been a rough journey throughout the entirety of it, but the results, they speak for themselves. He is carving through this field like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Boldyrev is ahead now, and you're watching Johnson, who suddenly slipped away as Paz putting real pressure on that 12 car, the 19 machine, trying to get into that tracks there, and you're watching Soto, because of this battle ahead, is closing in extremely quickly, 7/10 that last lap to Paz ahead, or rather to probably Roberts ahead. But Roberts going to be able to make a move on Paz because of that fighting even more. Your lapped car, you don't want to make any problems for the cars ahead, but Roberts has every right to go past if he is quicker.
We're seeing Jordan Johnson weaving around like a knitting grandma right now. My goodness, he's trying to cover left and right Ricky Paz, but he's sticking to the slipstream of Stanislav. So this is actually Stanislav starting this train and overly defending, in my opinion. This is not just costing him tires, this is also costing him fuel. And while the rest of the field is calling, Jordan Johnson really just needs to stick to a line and roll with it, not fall for these sort of little jinks to the inside from Boldyrev, because he's wasting his time as well.
I mean, that's yes, but no, because Boldyrev is putting tire wear by forcing Johnson to follow them. It's an interesting situation because IndyCar is in a certain situation where these cars, the Delaras, are going to pit in that same 4-lap kind of marker either way if it's a green flag lap, but Boldyrev is just making it harder for every car behind to stay alive and trying to force mistakes out there, but is going to lose because of it. Losing some tire wear is going to be one of the punishments there, but is going to have a better exit as they take that outside line into these 2 turns and goes there as they go put under pressure from Paz, excuse me.
Talking about fuel here as well when it comes to the usage, as we get down to the end of this window, the drivers, they all pit right around lap 26. We've currently gone about 20 laps. We're expecting 32. So we're getting down to that phase where these cars are going to start to get lighter. And if you don't adjust your rear weight jacker accordingly, well, you're going to have a tail wagging the dog situation, and you'll be finding that barrier awfully quick. Look at these camera angles, by the way. This was what absolutely love these static shots. It gives you a real feel, Carson, for how fast these Indy cars are truly traveling.
Boldyrev taps the wall right there, and same with that 666 pink or 66 pink car. Wow, purple car, goodness me, that is, wow, that is the wrong color entirely. It is a purple car, like the night sky, but Boldyrev losing a lot of time because of that wall tap as Soto closes in. And it's not looking good for Boldyrev, who was in first just a moment ago, got overtaken twice, and had a beautiful position but behind the 2 leaders fighting. Had to set that up because they were losing time and tire. But it's going to be the other way as Soto taps the wall and slams into that inside line. Paz and Johnson fight ahead, and Soto into that inner wall.
And he returned back to the garage as well very quick. I don't think there's going to be any caution out because of how quick he got back into the lane. That was a Alt F4 if I've ever seen one from Russell Soto. That man, I got to give him some credit where credit is due. That was a tough race at the best of times. He made it look easy for a while, but I understand the resigning. I want to see Soto back out there, but that crash is going to pretty much have him in pit lane for a good majority of time.
Still in the lobby, but still got to pay that tow limit, so might have a fast repair, but maybe still paying that tow time. Fry going to hit the pit as well. We saw them clatter into the wall, but it's going to be Johnson and Paz, the same story as earlier, as we watch a replay of what happened to Soto. And that inside line didn't dive too deep, but tapped that wall, and it was all over from there, slamming into that inside wall at a speed that is unrecoverable for that machine. Returned to garage, rightfully so it didn't get anybody's way. Good on Soto for that as they sit in the pit. You'll see that orange car on the right side of your screen as Johnson overtakes for the, rather Paz overtakes for the lead.
Very unfortunate for Soto, and he had already used his 1 fast repair. I can't confirm there was 1 fast repair tonight. Soto using that pretty much on the same incident. That was a near mirror image of what happened on the first lap, I suppose. Very unfortunate for Soto, and that might be the fact is Soto being a bit of a circuit driver, not able to translate that over to Indy. These are such a different style of car to drive, and Soto, while he did an incredible job while he was out there, I hope to see him return back to the track. He still has something to talk about. He made a showing at the bare minimum that he is one to carve his way through the field despite all efforts, and again, love to see the 50 back out on track. Understand if we don't. There. Again, Carson, another change for the lead. This, oh goodness, if you're a Russell Soto fan, close your eyes.
And that inside line there, dives deep enough, goes back on that outside line, doesn't try to overcorrect it. I don't think knew it was going to happen. That back end taps the wall, and it is lights out for Russell Soto there. He was going to sit in 11th for the time being, as Fry also did the same thing. Didn't get into a full accident there, but still going to have to sit in the pits, dealing with damage. Johnson overtook Paz and all that excursion, all that excitement that we watched in the replay. And Paz going for one more here on that open front straight over the brickyards. Paz maybe going to jump to the inside. No, doesn't have the hook just yet. Is going to be grabbing that speed. And we mentioned earlier, we talked about it earlier, as we get a brief moment of competition where we are not passing each other rapidly. If you are going to get into iRacing, Moza is no substitute. Such awesome technology that they have there, such awesome sims that you should grab if you do have the chance. I really like mine. It's how I got into iRacing, and I have no regrets. It is so, so nice.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think Tom Bryant has the same wheel that I have here behind me, the R5 bundle. It's a great little bundle to have, and you can find it over in the link in the description, !Moza. We have an affiliate link there. If you do purchase it, do end up heading over to there and purchasing it there. But Carson, halfway. We're halfway there, and we are currently, well, if you're Russell Soto, living on a prayer, no doubt. Rogers also, Fry, 3 laps down, Stringer down 1 lap, Roberts still down 1 lap, but our top 7 still on the lead lap, and it is a all-out war for the top 3. Boldirev not out of conversation just yet. While he may have had an incident with the wall at one point here that put him back down to 3rd, he hasn't really given up, has he?
Yeah, Boldirev just trying to hold on for now. Going to just keep themselves in that rearview mirror of Paz and Johnson ahead as they fight for the lead. But Boldirev on fresh tires and maybe a little bit of damage that needs to be repaired is going to be just all right. Hoping for another caution for their sake, but they're going to have Roberts approach from behind as they slowly make their way through the field as other cars get discontinued from the race as Johnson overtakes Paz. And it's going to be back and forth from now on out. And it's going to help Boldirev if that action of jumping in and out is going to come up. In Lou Salem in the chat saying the R5 bundle is the one I've been thinking of grabbing when I get the monies. When I got the monies, I grabbed it. I very much like it. That is the one I have. I probably should have mentioned that. I really enjoy it. It's awesome for oval racing. It's awesome for GT racing. You can change out the wheel function on the top. I have a formula section as well. And in these oval formulas, Johnson going to get overtaken by Paz again. And it's just back and forth every time into turn 1, it feels.
Yeah, it really is. These two. Really no love lost between them. They've been working together since the word go, and they do not plan on stopping. A little more action down the field. This is Jariwala, I think, alongside Jacob Dick. They're having a little bit of dicing. Now, they can't afford this for too long. 4.2 seconds off the back of the top 3. They need to work together. They need to dial it back, but you know, Carson, you know what might be a bit of a gamble and a risk? Now, of course, if a caution comes out, this strategy is absolutely useless. But what if these two pit together? And very soon, we're getting down to that pit stop phase, maybe within the next, give or take, 5 to 10 laps. What if they pit early?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. It doesn't look like a lot of collaboration is going on between these two as they levy for position. They are millimeters away from each other, and it's very dangerous on that inside line. Dick able to keep out of that other car in the middle section there, and you have to imagine just how difficult it is at these speeds to keep out of each other at such close ranges. But these two should pit right now if you are trying to find a way into the lead, if you're okay with staying where you are, if you're not sure you're going to win, if you think this is your best chance here to get here, because you know 4 and 5 are the best positions maybe that you can get with your pace. You should keep it here. And I think the 8 and 66 car, this may be their peak, but ahead of them, the other ones are going to fight. As see that 66 car on that inside again, going into turn 1, going to just cleanly overtake over the bricks.
And definitely expect this to happen once, twice, 3, maybe 50 more times throughout this race here tonight. These two absolutely not giving each other any stretch of gap or any form of leniency. They are wanting to battle from the words go. And behind them, look at that, they now have some cars joining them, I think soon. Bronson Turner is 3.5 seconds back, so they continue this scrapping. We got this 3-way pack. This is Simpson, Turner leading Simpson, leading Roberts. No, Roberts is not in this.
Stringer.
My apologies. That is Stringer, actually, who is down a lap. So just kind of going on for the ride right now and hanging on for dear life. And also, being a bit of a helping hand in this. Having 3 cars is more beneficial than 2, because of course the slipstream effect, it is accumulative when it comes to these oval tracks. So P1 having no slipstream, punching a hole in the air for P2. P2 is punching a bigger hole in the air for 3, 4th, 5th, etc. The speed, it just adds up.
Yeah, and you have to imagine these cars right here, the pink lemonade themed one and the beautiful orange and blue livery in the sandwich between them. You're going to watch here, but we're going to have our first green flag pit stop as Paz goes in and is going to be the first one on that undercut there. If there is an accident right here, Paz will be in maybe the best position to win this race at a certain point. But you have to imagine, if anybody but Boldirev, Johnson, or Paz are on top, it doesn't feel like you're going to end up in a situation where any of them won't win, because they will find a way past the other ones, and on that restart, they're going to stay close. It's not like a good restart is going to keep you away, because that first position car is almost always, exclusively always, going to end up together with the other cars behind.
And a quick in and out there for Paz. So very fast stop. I don't think they took tires. Just
not.
about a fuel there on board. They did take tires. Okay, never mind. They did take tires. Just very quick for a tire stop there. The mechanics absolutely on the ball for all fours. I don't know if that was just twos or all fours, but either way, the tires have been swapped, all four of them, in fact, as our producer Tom Bryant confirms in my ear. So Paz, green flag running. You mentioned if there is a caution now, well, now it would be very bad for him. But if there isn't, is this a problem? Because he hasn't pit with anybody. He's going to be running slower than Jordan Johnson, than Stanislav. Stanislav's right on the back now. That's who is behind Jordan Johnson, and they don't pit again. As we continue through this field, this race is going to get harder for Paz.
Yeah, Boldirov, I think, ended up with more fuel than Johnson and Paz because they were only ahead for a little bit of time and only were doing that blocking thing for a little bit, which is going to equal less fuel than the two who ahead, who were basically flat out that entire time. And you have to imagine it's hard to not see with the mechanics what is going on with those cars, obviously. But very quick pit stops. And sorry to my producer for lying. I lied to our producer, guys. As Stanislav going in for that inside section there, going to get right past Johnson. And Bordilev is back into that leader position as that Illinois native challenges in Indiana.
Nicely done. And also, is this allowing Rex Jariwala back into it? Maybe not quite. He's still 8.4 seconds back. He's got a lot of work to do before he ends up. We're starting to see, though, more drivers coming into pit lane. That was the bright purple. Or was that Jacob Dick? I think that was. Coming into lane. Another, well, I was going to say swap of positions. This is not what we're seeing. This is a war. Boldirev not saying no. Johnson to the inside, not giving up either. Somebody has to give. Fighting for the same piece of tarmac. Only one can come out on top, and Johnson looks like he's going to be able to, but behind that, I don't think he is. We go on board with the car behind with the best seat in the house, and there, our leaders into lane. They need to be on the ball with their marks, and it looks like both of them got slowed down in time. A bit of a lockup there for Boldira, but thankfully he's not going to need those tires in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, if anybody's going to get a penalty right here, it's going to be Boldira. Pretty sure they were slowed down. Was going for every inch of tarmac they could on that front stretch. Seen a lot of smoke behind for some obvious reasons of that car there as they lock up into their pits as well. And luckily hit their pit position there, and it looks like, not sure if, looks like they're going to take tires as well as they go to that other section now there. And Boldirev not going to get any advantage. They both pull in at relatively the same time, but Paz coming out here. Paz going to beat them all to the trigger, and that undercut, a very, very good thing for this 19 car who's going to be, feels like a few miles ahead with 2 seconds. Now Boldirev and Johnson, after fighting, going to have to work together if they want to keep themselves in the lead or lead scenario.
I question the strategy of Paz, but what this has actually done, it allowed Boldirev and Johnson to go at each other's throat, waste each other's time, and look at this, 2.5, 3 seconds is the gap to Jordan Johnson. They are not even close to each other right now. Paz has set himself up superbly to win this race. Now, that's a long ways away. One caution can change absolutely everything, and seeing the racing that we've seen so far, I wouldn't expect to not see one. It's really, we haven't seen too many collisions, only one to be honest, and for the most part, it's just been down to the drivers battling with themselves and, well, the barrier, obviously.
This is when you use the in-game chat. As for Johnson right now, you have to make a decision because everybody's going to be running similar laps. Right now, Jordan Johnson and Boldirev going to be running some of the faster laps as they go out of the pits. They have the freshest tires and the freshest cars. I mean, Paz still honestly running faster than both of those two. What do you do in a certain situation right now? If you are Johnson and Boldirev, does Johnson lift? Does Johnson say right now with 40 laps remaining, not anticipating anybody to go around because there's really no cars near each other? Are you going to lift and maybe let Boldirev back into this race so you two can go together and one of you will have the chance to win? And it, because Johnson at this point is not going to have a chance to win really unless they can find a way through.
That is such a tough question. Do I give up 2 seconds and maybe a position for the hopes of catching the leader. And that's what we're asking right now. And that's the strategy these drivers have to make, and so quickly on the fly. You need to make this decision in the next couple laps, to be honest. If you wait any longer, you're just going to have to settle for second if you're Johnson, or you're banking on a caution. Of course, that is still something to play a role. We also have back markers. Can't forget about that. So Jordan Johnson, if he can link up potentially with a Sean Roberts, with a Morgan Stringer, with a Chad Fry, well, all of a sudden things start to turn around. And wait a second, I mentioned Sean Roberts. What the heck? He is up to 4th position, right? Has he pit?
I don't believe Roberts is pit yet, and that might lead to the detriment. They are really gambling on some sort of caution coming in, honestly, with the next 20 laps, because they're going to stay on the lead lap for that time, and will probably pit on that section. As long as they're on the lead lap, I don't think Johnson cares, or rather Roberts cares.
I would say this is shades of Parker White at the eNASCAR finals. Pitting late isn't going to work out for him. Well, it seems like he's had to pit no matter what. So into pit lane, Roberts not quite working with that strategy, but I appreciate the attempt. I think that's going to put him down a lap, so that will be still a bit of an issue if the caution does fall, but he gave himself a chance, and I respect that. He still would have had to make a pit stop, but it would have been under caution. He would have lost a lot less time and potentially been on that lead lap still, but Roberts keeping his head on his shoulders and plucking along. It's all he can do right now is hope for a caution.
Yeah, whether Johnson is doing it intentionally or not, it kind of feels like a no-brainer to drop back to Boldirov right now, because both of you are going to be 2-3 otherwise, or 3-2. For Johnson, you maybe should just drop back and let Boldirov try and push you here, because you're in a situation where you're not going to really lose much. If you're okay with maybe losing that second place position, if you are okay with trying to get into a shot in the lead as Sean Roberts comes out behind both of those two in the background, what do you got if you're Johnson at this point? I feel like you have to do it. You have to drop back right here as Dick chasing that car ahead. That's Turner for that 4th position here, and closing in is that 66 car.
I have to agree with you, Carson. Johnson he's not gaining time, so there's no reason to keep fighting this losing battle. It's just a sunk cost fallacy at a certain point, and just trying to hold on to a semblance of almost nothing is what it kind of is right now. Jordan Johnson, you got to give yourself a chance, and 5 seconds is only the gap, and continuing to fall back. I think you're 100% right. He must have heard you, Carson, because he is getting closer and closer to Boldirov. The gap now down to 6/10. These are your previous lap times, folks. So you can see right now, Paz not leading in terms of the laps. In fact, he's nearly half a second slower than Boldirov, the only driver in the 40s, and firmly so.
Yeah, Boldirov right now, I think, has got the best case to win this race right now if Johnson is dropping back. I mean, they're flat out right now, but Johnson is probably saving fuel right here and saving tires. So there's a long-term investment for Johnson, who could fall all the way to 3 and potentially a lot further if this doesn't work out and this partnership goes hostile. But right now, Boldirov going to be caught in that Johnson slipstream, and they're going to, I think, just tuck in with each other and try and chase down Paz, who with 33 laps to go, about to be 32, has just been a monster so far, dominating this race. That 19 car is one heck of a show right now.
It really is, and to be fair, I think he's one of our last-minute entries as well, so that just goes to show you whether or not you sign up a year in advance or you get ready in the moment of the event. Practice is all relative, folks, and Ricky Paz is dominating this session. Right now, we see Stanislav Boldirov looking to the inside of Jordan Johnson. He knows he's quicker. Jordan also knows that he's quicker and says, well, I need to stay ahead of you. The problem is, you got to work together here. The longer you hold up Boldirov, the less of a chance you have. And there we see it. The change in order. Now, Johnson, lock up to that rear diffuser. You got a long ways to go. 4.5 seconds to catch up to Paz.
Yes, now Boldirov going to be in that second place position. These two are going to try and make up about 4 seconds in 30 laps here. And Johnson may have just let go and realized that Boldirov was going to be the best chance here. But what they're doing right here, they need to stay nip and tuck throughout these turns right now. One of them should just go behind, and the other one should just stay in front. It's going to be the best situation without each other, and these two really need each other to try and win this race. What you're watching right now is the gap diminish to the lead by ever so slightly margins, about 4.5 at the start of this lap, and it's slowly going to decrease with these two who have been fast all race, and with together they're going to maybe catch up to Paz with the power of friendship here.
It's going to take a lot of sunshine, spice, and everything nice. No, wait, hold on. That's the Powerpuff Girls. Anyways, they're going to have to work together, is the short of it. I think you hit the nail on the head, Carson. There we see a bit of changing the position. Also, which this actually could help them out tremendously. There's a back marker in this conversation, and it's Chad Fry, which, looking at the lap times, he is right around the pace of these guys. So if he does find that kind of lead position, back position, this could add, again, another one car into that crucial slipstream. And while that's only a couple miles an hour, every mile an hour matters. You start to close off distance on the track, and it's about the long term. There he is, just out of shot. These two side by side again. Expect this for the next 30 or so laps.
Yeah, as much as I want to say this is helping, Mike, this is really not good at all. These two are not being friendly with each other. The trading positions and not being behind each other on the straights is, I think Boldyra may have just tapped the wall very slightly there. These situations are not going to help you at all. They're fighting right now, and they're not going to catch up to the leader at this pace unless they can fight very cleanly and stay behind each other for a significant portion of the lap. Into the wall goes Johnson, and they're going to lose some time there. 10th seeping away as Boldyra going to go now alone into the night. Johnson will catch up with the slipstream. Boldyra tries to catch the tail of Fry moving up there, but honestly, these two are not doing a good job of working together right now. One of them has to stay behind and close, and the other one has to stay right there. And we're going to catch a quick replay of what happened to Johnson there. Slipped, and that little bit of dust as they smash into that white wall. And definitely some damage on that car. Might be very light, maybe on that tire, but just too much for Johnson there. And Boldyra and Johnson, I don't think you're going to have an opportunity to get back into this lead.
Give some credit where credit's due. That was a heck of a save. I mean, it could have been so much worse. I don't think people understand.
Absolutely.
When you hit a wall at 250 miles an hour, it's not soft. This is a full-on concrete Aramco barrier that, yes, it has a bit of give to it. You can see there's the safer barrier right there that will kind of compress when you hit it, but it's still concrete. It's still metal. It's not like it compresses lightly. So you won't be taking the full brunt of it into that suspension, but you're going to feel it. And the damage, hopefully, minimal. Thankfully, it looked like a full side smack, though, so you don't really have too much of a toe issue. If you hit the wall square, you're going to minimize the damage. If you hit the wall at an angle, well, that's when you see what happened to Russell Soto with a bit of a explosion, despite the fact that it looks like he just tapped the wall. It was a very low speed, well, it was a high speed hit, but relatively looked like a low speed hit. But again, when you're traveling 250 miles an hour, things just happen quick.
Yeah, Mike, and generally, as I think about it right now, two takeaways I'm getting right now. Boldyra is closing in on Paz, and that's an understatement, 3/10 this lap. And also, the other way these two could catch up right now is we were just watching those two duel. If one of them, if someone else hits each other and a caution comes out, this race becomes a very interesting section because who's using their tires? Is Paz saving right now? Is Paz banking on a potential caution? Going to give up maybe a second or two, stay in the lead, and prevent the slipstream from coming in, but still going to have safer tires towards the end. I'm not sure we're going to get out of this without one more green flag pit stop. But Boldyra is now in that Fry pole territory right here and is gaining a lot of time because of it.
Yeah, he certainly is, and that's a great point that I hadn't yet thought of. Ricky Paz also, of course, going to be saving on fuel and tires at the front if that's his goal. But we still have, of course, well, one caution that could potentially happen. We have a green-white checkered, though. There's one green-white checkered that's available. And now, folks, for those who are maybe not the most oval inclined, what does that mean? Well, that means that if we get down to the final 2 laps and we have a collision, we will have a caution, but it will resume with 2 laps. They will not continue to tick the timer down until we go green again, and there will only be one shot of that. Typically, you have 2 or 3 in an Indy race or a NASCAR race. They only get one real try at it, and that will be the money. So if you crash in that, well, that's it.
I'm not positive on the official Indy 500 rules, but in NASCAR it is literally unlimited. If that white flag does not come out, it will be a caution and it will restart. But you just kind of hope here, if you're Boldyra, that you find a way in, and this is going to be Jarawala, that 8 car into the bits after that duel with Simpson. They're going to get one more green flag stop, and Mike, if I'm not wrong, everybody still needs to do a green flag stop, no?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that everybody still has one. The only, I think, real exception? No, I don't think there is any real exceptions, actually. Maybe that's Chad Fry that's coming in as well. No, I think everybody has to make one more stop under green or in for caution, of course. But there still needs to be one stop, no matter what, for these drivers. They do not have enough fuel to make it to the end. The tires, they'll be fine. These aren't... Okay, no comment there. The tires will be fine.
We'll have to see how the tires do. Some drivers may elect to take them. I mean, if you're Fry and Jarawala, honestly, there's nothing to lose at this point, especially for Fry. Fry should just take tires. But on board here with Turner and Dick as they watch Jarawala come out of the pits. They're going to fight here into this other section. They need to go pit both of them, but that 81 car going to move up into fourth with the help of forcing the outside there. With the help of that Jarawala car, which is not a teammate, but another help from a car that is in bright, pretty colors. As we've got some amazing liveries on track here tonight.
Yeah, we certainly do, you know. And I just also want to mention here, Bronson Turner. It's been an up and down performance for Bronson Turner tonight. A yo-yo, you might say. Let's see, has he pit recently? He pit on lap 59, so he... Did he? Wait, no. He pit on lap 56. Okay, 56 is when he pit. So he does need to make one more stop no matter what, but he's in the mix right now. 16 seconds, give or take, off of Jordan Johnson, but Jacob Pick in the mix. So Bronson Turner's been a bit of a dark horse for me. I'm not going to lie. He was down the order, pretty much in 8th position last time I checked on him. Now he's up into 4th, so great effort so far.
Yeah, green flag incidents will definitely have helped them there, but that 81 car, pretty quick, honestly, and I have to imagine... Boldyurev is closing in on Paz right now, and that is not really like they're getting close. Like, they're getting back markers in front of them. Fry came out in what is essentially the perfect position is Boldyurev's going to get another tow from that car in front of them. They're going to get every single option they can to try and move in here. But really what they're going to need is they're going to need a caution here and now. But that might lead to a car like Turner, if they can pit right now, and a car like Jarawala, it's going to be maybe in front, and Roberts going to have to pit again here and maybe might go down another lap. Roberts should pit right now if I am that car.
Yeah, I think that would be fair. You know, we also, of course, I wanted to mention Jordan Johnson here a little bit because he actually yes, indeed. That's going to be... that is a little bit of a change in position right there, but a bit of an aggressive one at that. But I want to mention, so Jordan Johnson, he is part of the crew chief, I should say, for Athena Leclerc, who is one of the Screen to Speed Vegas finalists. For any of those who remember back all the way to 2023, I think that was, or end of 23 into 24, when we were down in Las Vegas, it was Shearsha Fitzpatrick that took the victory in that championship. Ended up winning a drive with a Kelly Moss Porsche, as well as, of course, the $15,000 prize pool that was on for that event as well. So seeing Jordan Johnson back out on track, it's a full roundabout there, as, of course, Athena Leclerc was again, one of those Screen to Speed finalists and coached by Johnson. So you love to see the family here at Init Esports, of course. And for any of those wondering, what is Screen to Speed? What is that? It's a great question. If you head on over to screenspeed.com, you can certainly find out a bit more, but I'll just give you a general synopsis. It is a direct pathway to getting women in motorsports from the screen to, yes, you guessed it, the speed behind the wheel of a real-life race car. And through that, we also, of course, have a virtual team, the Screen to Speed Dream Team, where we take part in various championships. We have Sarah Dove, of course, Sophie Erawan, as well as Esmeralda Bustamante. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't think I am. And, of course, a few other, Nina Hahn, just off memory there. So a few other drivers on the team as well. So definitely, if you are interested, head on over to the Init Esports Discord. Mention it if you want to be a part of it. We're always looking for more drivers. And, of course, we're looking for more drivers when it comes to the female side as well for a Team USA Talent Scout event. We have the open category as well as the women's category. Unfortunately, no women taking part in this race here tonight. We had Sabre Cook last time around taking victory, of course, or Sabra, my apologies, Sabra Cook. I knew I was saying that wrong. I had to double check my notes. Sabra Cook took the victory last time around, and she's a Porsche Carrera driver as well, so a real-life driver, 14 times karting champion. Shame we don't see her out on track tonight due to being busy, but hey, hopefully out at Watkins Glen, we get to see her around it once more, and of course, the few others that take part, a massive shout-out to them. Now, folks, with that out of the way, of course, if you are looking for the signups, initesports.gg, or excuse me, initesports.gg/Carson. That's where you can find the link, and I don't know if we have, I'll just post it in chat. I don't know if we have a command for that one. I should probably figure that out, but link in chat.
And it's Carsim, Carsim, not Carson, my name. But speaking of me, I'm really glad to be in such a community like this. It's my first time here, of course. I'm very excited to be in that section. Boldyrev jumped into the pits earlier there, and Paz still in that lead. And Paz is just behind Boldyrev at this point and does know the pit strategy now. No missing it as Paz jumps into that pit section here, and it'll be the most important lap of the race for Boldyrev, who likely will not have too much of an opportunity to find their way forward, but hoping for a very long stop for that 19 car.
And Jordan Johnson stays out. Fascinating. So he's comfortable with the fuel tire combo that he has. He wants to run that car probably as light as he can. He's still gaining lap time, so there's no reason to come in. The tires are going to go way before the fuel goes in these cars, as of course they are constantly turning left here. And the banking, well, it's not the most extreme banking. This isn't your Daytona. This doesn't have the 33-degree banking on the outside with a tri-oval down to 18. You can see it's fairly flat, and all things considering, I should have that in my notes, the grading, but I actually don't.
Yeah, not a lot of grading here. I believe it is under the 20-degree mark, which is a lot different than our other oval that we'll be racing, Bristol, which is the last great Coliseum, and very small track, very high banking. It's one of the most fun tracks to watch. If you are enjoying this race, to the individuals watching this, please tune into Bristol. That is going to be such a clash, such a fun one. Not sure where I'll be during that, or if this is my first and last stream for Init, but I gotta say, I gotta love the community here. The racing has been excellent, and Johnson at the top of the field right now, top of the pile. He's got an interesting situation going on here. Simpson's gonna hit the pit as Boldyrev comes out. 5 seconds behind Paz. And it looks like Paz is gonna have this one pretty down pat, assuming no caution.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the wire for Paz, but he's done everything that he possibly can to set himself up for the win here tonight. He's put himself in the best position. Now, it's going to be down to others. This is the frustrating, cruel mistress. The exciting part of oval racing is that anything can happen in racing, and it normally does. That's always true when it comes to circuits, but when it comes to ovals, it's an understatement. Anything could happen at the same. Heck, we could have a caution on this lap, and all of a sudden Jordan Johnson has now put himself into a superlative position to win this race. Either way, it didn't happen. We don't have a caution as Jordan Johnson has made his stop on this lap, comes back out ahead of Boldyrev. And those two, while they were working together when they went in, let's see, is Boldyrev going to come out ahead? Yes, he is, and Johnson left in the dust.
Yeah, and you have to imagine that it's going to be out of these three cars' hands who's going to end up winning this one, because Paz likely has it down pat here with that lap 60 pit maneuver, pitting early rather. It was really good for Paz, and you saw how good it was. I mean, they are a complete 5 seconds clear of Boldyrev ahead, and behind it's going to be one of these two cars who might be able to decide what this is going to be. This is going to be a really rough situation. Roberts still needs to hit the pit, but they're chasing Simpson chasing Roberts here, and both of these cars, I believe, still need to pit. But you have to imagine that a position here, trying to fight for one extra spot, could lead to that green-white checker being activated.
It certainly could, and you know, this is the song, the dance, and the chess match that we mentioned early on. They're chomping at the bit right now, and it's not really far away from having millions and millions of dollars of damage strung amongst the ranks here at Indy. And with 13 laps to go, this is when the drivers are going to start to push that little bit more. Every lap, they're going to start trying just a little bit harder. And Johnson, well, he's going to be closing that 2 seconds down from Boldyrev and saying, where can I go for the move? Where's my chance to get by? And then maybe, like water off a duck, slip away into the Indy sunset. That's the plan, but we all know, Carson, no plan survives first contact, especially with the enemy.
Yeah, or the wall at a certain point, but we've seen Johnson and Boldyrev get into quick conversations, which may have led to their downfall at a certain point. But the Illinois native Boldyrev really doing a good job. Did not start as fast, as high as we thought they were going to. A lot of predictions going either way, but honestly, Indy can be pretty tame with this lower section when you have these cars so far apart. And this could be pat down for Paz, who's done such a good job. Really good strategy call earlier in the race. And sometimes it's the people in the pit crew, or rather the people in the crew chief box, who are going to make the decision that's going to win it for you. But sometimes people throw a breakfast burrito directly into your chess game that you're having with second and third place here for Paz. As these three cars battle it out, anything could happen still.
I just love the fact that Ricky Paz, he started this race on pole position. Now, he didn't stay there the whole time. This was not a straight-up domination for Ricky Paz, at least for the first half of this race. He was fighting. Keep that in mind. Jordan Johnson and him were locked arms for pretty much the first 50 laps of this race, and it didn't take till the mid parts where we saw, well, Jordan Johnson hit the wall and Stanislav fall back as well, but Ricky Paz just sort of has been Mr. Consistent all the way through. And while, yes, this is his first ever Team USA Talent Scout race powered by Moza, this is making a statement, no doubt. I think eyes are going to be on him, and I cannot wait to see what this man does at circuits.
Absolutely, and you kind of hope for Ricky Paz that at some point you kind of end up maybe down towards Bristol. If they're not going to participate in the rest of the circuit racing, maybe they go down to Bristol and maybe they end up in that Cup car. I might end up in that Cup car. We'll have to see just how things pan out, depending on my schedule. I'm obviously working an internship this summer, so we'll see what's going to go on between me and everything else here. But it would be a lot of fun to jump on the track with these drivers who are so excellent and so quick. And you have to imagine just how cool Paz would be maybe in a Cup Series car in a short track like that where traffic ends up being a whole lot worse of a problem.
Yes, it certainly does. And, you know, that's sort of the goal here of the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by Moza, is to really weed out the differences in all of these drivers. We want to see you struggle at times. That's good. We don't, just because you aren't necessarily an expert at the IndyCar, just because you're not an expert at circuit racing, doesn't mean we don't want to see you out there. We're looking for drivers that can handle the adversity, right? That's why we have this championship from start to finish. It's not just one race. You don't just qualify by winning a race. No, it's about the talent in the long run. And it's drivers like Soto, in my opinion, that make that statement of, you know, while Soto didn't finish, again, he stuck out to me for one of, in my opinion, he would have been, if he took the checkered flag, the driver of the day in my mind. And Soto went through the ringer, we'll just put it that way, down the order, back up the order, down the order, back up the order, and then down the order one more time, and with a repeat of pretty much the same incident that he happened. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight, it's about the size of the fight in the dog, and Russell Soto showed that tonight, and so did Ricky Paz. He showed that he is also a large dog in the fight, but he's also got the fight in the dog.
Absolutely, and Soto, one another perseverance things that I really admire about them, they like pineapple on pizza.
Yes.
And, you know, as a fellow pineapple on pizza enjoyer myself, not the ham, crucially not the ham, I have to say, good choices were made there. And, I mean, as we head down towards the twilight hours of this Indy 250, 100 laps so far, or rather going to be logged tonight. We're at 93, and just such a beautiful race that we've had so far. Such a fun track. I'm excited to see more of it in real life, see more of it generally. This track, I hope, gets used more and more, and these Indy cars, I hope, are seen more and more in esports spaces. They're one of the least used in iRacing, and or rather in iRacing competitive esports, and you have to just love how well and how much fun it can be. You hope to see more as they go down, and just generally everywhere. That's my personal goal from this one, is promoting IndyCar in the community.
And you know what people don't often realize about the Indy 500 in real life, that is? It is the largest single day sporting event in the world. There is not a single event bigger, with over 300,000 attendees and seats throughout the infield and the out. There's a lot of people that show up here. It is an atmosphere, to say the least, when it comes to the Indy 500. I know people travel near and far to make this race, and one of our producers, our producer Tom Bryant behind the scene, of course, was Steve Proudly, not producing tonight, but being one of the heads over there at AK. He's actually going to be making a trip over to Indy for the first time, and it's been a dream for him for a very long time to head out there, and so I wish I could be there, but unfortunately, with the fact that I live halfway across the country, it's not the easiest thing to attend.
Yeah, it's not exactly that hard if you live where I'm from in the Midwest, in the Chicago area. It's very, very close, honestly. It's actually like a 3-4 hour drive. But honestly, at a certain point, you have to imagine you'll see some exciting things on track like you are here. Boldirev has now got Johnson in the rearview mirror, just can't get away from each other. 4 to go, and these two are going to be levying for silver and bronze as the twilight hours of this race go on. And Turner still making a rather that's not Turner. I believe that's Stringer behind.
I just hope this doesn't end in tears. This is, well, this has been in the works for a while now, and we know how quick Boldirev has been. They're the fastest driver on track for a significant majority of the time. In fact, they still are. But now, Jordan Johnson with the slipstream in the Apex Racing Team car here. Going for it into the first corner? No, not quite. Flat out easy though through the, and I can confirm it is 9-degree banking, 9.2 degree banking actually to be exact. Very flat pretty much. Easy flat out for these Indy cars. This is the chance. Down into 3-4. A little too far behind in this case, but he's going to have to make it sooner rather than later, because if we get down to this last lap, well, we're getting down to the green-white checkered territory.
Yeah, this is where you put the jack, I think, maybe on a bit riskier of a setting here. If Johnson is an IndyCar truther, or in the sense of being able to race IndyCar, you're going to have that jack almost wide open as you enter this turn here, and slowly going to crawl it down as you head into this turn. And right behind is Boldirev is Johnson, moving down that outside line, a bit wider of a line by Johnson. They'll have the advantage into the section turn here. Bit quicker, but a bit too slow to make that overtake in this turn here. But if it's going to happen, it's going to happen on this straight. They chase each other down. Johnson looking for the inside, but Boldirev with too good of an exit for Johnson to collect.
Stanislav with the weight of the world on his shoulders like the mythical Titan Atlas. Can he hold it for 2 more laps of this Indy race? Coming across the line, the final lap is out. We're in green-white checkered territory now, folks. But are we going to see it? Jordan Johnson to the inside of the first corner. Is he going to make it stick like glue? Yes, he is. No, he's not. We have Stanislav keeping his foot in it. Side by side now down the back stretch. No slipstream, no advantage to be had. It's going to be all down to who's running the more aggressive weight jacker. Down into the inside again. Johnson should have the advantage, but as we get to the exit, Stanislav, he's behind, but Ricky Paz, he's the one to take the checkered flag first, and the victory for the Indy 250. Behind Jordan Johnson, side by side nearly, but he gets the job done. Stanislav relinquished to third. An incredible finish all the way around here. Of course, these results being unofficial, but I have to say, Carson, the Team USA Talent Scout event, Race 2 here at Indianapolis, powered by Moza, this was a real exciting one.
Absolutely. For that other section, a real big improvement for them, and just such a good race. And Paz, you have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, or elephant across the line, with how big of a race that. Just how close these race results were. These two drivers in the front, Paz and Johnson, were neck and neck that whole race. And honestly, it comes down to Paz's strategy there. And what a call around lap 60 for that to go early, 4 or 5 laps early, as they fought Johnson and Stanislav, and you're gonna have to imagine that's what lost them the race. Those two, if they had just worked together towards the end in that last 30 laps, if they had worked together, they would have done a better job. If they had worked together when Paz pitted, they would have done a better job. And I guess teamwork makes the dream work is the real, lesson of this one. And I don't typically anticipate races having morals of the story, but maybe that was one of them tonight.
Oh, I think I couldn't agree with you more, to be honest, Carson. For anyways, my apologies, by the way. Apparently, the audio there was cut out on the read-through screen, so I'll go over that one more time for anyone that is curious. Ricky Paz taking home first position, Jordan Johnson in second, Stanislav Boldyrev in third, Bronson Turner fourth, with Jacob Dick in fifth, Jeffrey Simpson sixth, Rex Jariwala in seventh, Sean Roberts eighth, Morgan Stringer ninth, Chad Fry in 10th, Russell Soto DNFing in 11th, and Curtis Rogers last, but certainly not least, with a DNF in 12th. Again, the results, they don't speak the full story of this one here, but it certainly was an experience, and I am very excited. We're currently in the process of getting all of our drivers together here for some post-race interviews, and we're going to hear from them very shortly. Now, of course, as we build it up here, we're going to hear hopefully from the third place finisher first. We'll go down the order: Stanislav first, then of course Jordan Johnson, and then Ricky Paz for third. But a big thank you I just wanted to mention here to everybody in chat that's continued to watch this one throughout the entirety. A massive thanks from myself, Mike Noss, as well as Carson Cass, of course. We appreciate all the kind words and the support from everybody watching this whole race. What a championship, not a championship, what a race series that we have here for the Team USA Talent Scout, powered by Moza. And again, for anyone curious on the next races coming up, the Watkins Glen 90. That's the next one for the Team USA. Of course, Screen to Speed also with other races as well. But June 21st, Watkins Glen 90. Then after that, August 30th for the Portland International Raceways in the Formula 4, F4 cars, excuse me, as it is. NASCAR at the Bristol, then Watkins Glen 90 in October for the GT3s. That's going to be real fun. Road Atlanta for the GT3s on October. Laguna 45 in December. That's the calendar. All signups are available over on initesports.gg/carsim, not carsin. I'll send the link there in chat. But again, Carson, what a race. And again, a pleasure to have you back in the booth. The chemistry, I feel like, was all... We haven't commentated together in, I don't know, over a year at this point, and it felt like, well, pretty much back to speed.
Yeah, I have to thank you that I'm even here right now. I got the opportunity at Syracuse University and cast for the esports team as well, and get involved with the sports there, and get an internship this summer through the help of situations like this. These events are as good for the drivers and as important for the drivers as they are for the casters. Huge, important part of my future, and I have to thank everybody for watching on a personal, heart-to-heart level of just how much this means to me and how much this means for the drivers as well, and futuring their careers in this space. And, it feels good to do well, and it feels good to have some fans behind them, putting them in their name in their head and logging it in the catalog. It always feels that you're in someone's brain file cabinet when you win.
Yes, absolutely. And there, for anyone that's curious, head on over to the Carson's X, give him a follow. Posted the link there in chat. That's, of course, where you can find most of his work and other journalism stuff as well. Everything Syracuse related. So big shout out to Syracuse as well. Now, I have to mention the elephant in the room here as well. Big shout out to Moza for being the official partner when it comes to our equipment. Listen to those shifters and the buttons. It's awesome. Oh, I also saved this one for you as well, chat. You ready? You ready? I don't think this one's going to come up on audio, so we'll just do this one on video here. Bam. Gotta love the little peel. That one could have came up on audio. That would have come through the mic. That was louder than expected. But either way, big shout out to Moza, of course, for being the official product partner of Team USA, Talent Scout. Now, there we go. Get everything out of the way as behind me and make sure that things don't fall over, because that would be bad. We don't want that to happen. We're currently in the process here of wrangling up our drivers, and it should be very shortly that we're going to hear from them here. Just getting them into the calls, of course. You gotta love live TV, folks, but in the meantime, I want to talk a little bit more about Screen to Speed while we have the opportunity. As we mentioned, it is an all-women's event, and we have a full calendar for that one as well. It's open to absolutely everybody as well, women, non-binary, and the entire LGBTQ plus community, so definitely want to check that out. Next race, we just had the Snetterton race and the Screen to Speed Goes Drifting, both on the same weekend, and those were an absolute hoot. Alton Park up next in the BMW M2s. That's some free content, I'm pretty sure. I think Alton Park free content, I know, and BMWs, I know for a fact, are the newest iRacing, developing constantly. It's, again, for me, it seems like it's one of the newest cars added, but there's been a couple others now since then. So one of the newer cars added into iRacing, the BMW M2. Low on downforce, high on mechanical grip, and all the way around one of my absolute favorite cars to drive, period.
Absolutely. That is a fun car, to say the very least. If you're interested in getting into iRacing, there's no substitute other than Moza, it feels like, at a certain point. Especially because it's so fun. The buttons are so nice. It's such a high quality for the price it's at. I feel like it's almost unbridled at a certain point. I also have an R5. This one was bought with my own money. I love this thing. It's so heavy. It is very heavy.
It's so heavy, I can't even pick the wheelbase up by itself. Look at this thing. I mean, I went to the gym today and did arm day, but
it's filled with so much quality.
I can do bicep curls with this thing. God dang.
There's an unbridled amount of quality in that weight, and I have my wheelbase somewhere here that I'm not going to grab because I actually will drop it. I'm a bit clumsy. I drove home 10 hours early overnight to get here in time, and I screwed up the time, so didn't even need to do that. But that's just how much I love this. How much I love this.
Like a butterfly in the windstorm, Carson Cass appears and with full energy as well. So you got to give him some credit for that one, because I don't know how many people can do that. You got to love being young, folks. That definitely plays a bit of a role in that one. But of course, a big thank you to all the drivers as well that took part in this event here tonight, and of course the future events as well. I know we have a lot of drivers looking forward to the Watkins 90. I still want to see more with the Indy cars. Hey, if you backed out of this race because you weren't good enough on the IndyCar, shame. No, it's all good. It is what it is, folks. If you were not there for time, who cares? It is what it is. But hopefully we see you in the Watkins Glen 90 coming up here very shortly, next month. Yes, next month. I had to do the math. June 21st, so a little over a month away. It seems like it's going to be right around the corner, though. I cannot wait. And it seems like we might be getting a call here soon. We might be getting P2 up first. Waiting for production to confirm that. I'm seeing in the chats that we have located at least one driver here tonight.
Yeah, you know what?
Again, waiting for confirmation in my ear.
As we wait for confirmation.
Okay, well, we are waiting.
We can wait. We've got plenty of stuff to talk about with this race. Obviously, the Indy cars are a lot of fun. If you have not tried them out on iRacing, it's definitely worth a shot, even on those non-Indy laps. I mean, Indy's one of the hardest tracks to drive. The weight shifter is a huge the weight jacker is a huge important part of that. And honestly, on other tracks, not as important at all, because you kind of get to a situation where you're like, I'm at Las Vegas and I'm going 5 wide into turn 1 and nobody's making it out, so I might as well have as much fun as possible and hit the brake and hope that nobody rear ends me and everybody in front of me is going to crash. So it's one of those situations where IndyCar is chaotic, it's hectic, especially in bigger lobbies. You hope to see more players, more drivers in there, and it can lead to a lot of storylines, and you can end up winning a race on complete accident. That's happened to me, where you're on the last lap, you're in 5th, and you're like, oh, look, there's 4 cars in the infield. Wow, what a lovely position for game that I get in all 4 in the end. It's so much fun. Try out iRacing. If you're new to it, use Moza Sim Racing. If you are into sim racing or wanting to get into sim racing, it's a great entry into the space. It's my entry into the space fully, from a wheel that was $45 secondhand at a garage sale, and really cannot recommend Moza enough.
You know, Carson, there was one thing that I missed in this race, and I cannot believe that I did so. Do you happen to know how many bird species are in the area of Indianapolis?
I do know this, and because I took environmental science in high school. I'm 19. I took environmental science in high school less than a year ago. I'm trying to think. I believe it is in the 30 mark. It is in the 30 mark, correct?
You're lowballing a little bit. There's about 180 in Marion County, which is where Indianapolis is located. Some of the birds that you can find there, some pretty common ones, to be honest. There's nothing too special. It's in the Midwest of America. Look, they're not You get some migratory stuff. You get some local stuff. You can find some blue jays, some red-tailed hawks, some American goldfinches, as well as some Canadian geese. All the way through, not the most exciting. Some eastern bluebirds. You can find various jays and stuff like that. Some warblers as well. But all things considered, the bird species are pretty light for that area.
Yeah, I'm a big bird fan myself. I was bird watching in New York less than a week ago. It's a personal pastime of mine. And Mike, what's your favorite bird? Go ahead. What's your favorite bird, Mike?
My favorite bird?
I can answer first if you need
like
some time.
No, I actually know which one mine is. I like the little gray jays because they're local to my area and they're awesome. They're really cool. They're very friendly. They're especially when you go and hike like tall mountains around where I live in Washington. They're always up there and they are always wanting food, and you can get them to land in your hand if you just put your hand out. And then I have some videos of me actually with some birds landing in my hand. They're awesome. They're just very friendly little birds, and they're cute. They're adorable.
Yeah, I think my personal favorite has to be the loon. Unreal noise. If you've ever listened to it in person while you're camping, scariest thing ever at midnight. But they're so cool. They have red eyes. The babies go and dive for food with their mothers. It's crazy. It's wild. And they are metal. Same with the osprey, the seahawk, two of my other favorites. Big bird guy. Nobody likes birds like me. I saw peregrine falcon in Michigan. There's just so many cool birds everywhere, and some cool hawks in this race as well. I cannot believe, speaking on this bird topic, of nobody went flying.
Yes, that's a great point. We didn't see any cars being used as ramps.
Well,
or
actually,
of that nature.
There was one incident where somebody hit the wall in that first incident where went a little into the catch fence, but they came back down. There was a little.
The catch fence did its job. It caught the car, and so that's where you pay your money for that, and that's where it pays a roll. Big shout out there. I see we have Steffi in chat, so big shout out there to Steffi Bao, of course, for leading everything here at Init, as well as Screen to Speed and all of the others. I want to thank all the followers that we've had, too. I see we've had quite a few of them throughout the entirety of this broadcast. Let's start up from the top. We have Liam Schotten. We also have Dylan Honcho. We have CTA Expulsive. That's a cool name. Zapicity. That name is familiar. I feel like I know you. Let me know who you are. Blizzard Extreme. We also have Gambling Addict 98. Steve Cass. Hey, look at that. The man himself. Big shout out there to Carson's dad watching. The Golden Stig, as well as Kali Asopi. And my mom also followed earlier. So shout out to my mom if you're also watching. You're probably not at this point, but shout out to you if you are.
My dad, I know, is not watching anymore. I believe this has been turned off for a little while, but big thanks to the parents. Big thanks to everyone in your life. May is Mental Health Month. Go check in on the people you love, maybe people that you aren't you don't know that well. Maybe take this as an opportunity to learn and talk to more people. May is Mental Health Month, so I mean, just go out, talk to people more. Go be a positive force in the universe, everybody. That is
go
my
send
thing.
a message to somebody that you haven't sent a message to in a while. That's my homework for you. Go tell them hi and that you appreciate them and that you're thinking of them. That's what I want you to do, the viewer at home. Somebody you haven't talked to in a while, go again, show them some appreciation, some love. That would be lovely. We are getting some updates, I think, on interviews here. Again, waiting for the production in my ear. We are going to start off. It sounds like we got Stanislav ready to roll here. So Mr. Boldirev, when we'll get to that here in a very, very shortly. So I'll be catching up with him, and we will be, I see a lot of people in chat excited for Watkins Glen. Go moms and dads. That's also great. I totally agree. Go family. Shout out to all of the spouses as well that allow the drivers to drive. That's always A1 positive. So yes, a lot of time wasted on sim racing, and it's a dedication, it's a spirit, it's a passion, I don't know, I'm just coming up with words to justify the amount of time wasted that we have here.
Hey, chase your passions, love what you love, and enjoy what you like doing, and it's not a waste of time if you're passionate about it, is my general belief. I do things, I go to baseball games for $4, and I score keep. It's my thing. It's your thing, guys. And thank you to everybody for allowing everyone to do their thing.
Yes, indeed. And here we are, folks. I think we have hopefully a copy here as we're waiting for the scene to transfer on over. And Stanislav, there he is, Mr. Boldirev. I have to say, what a race. A little bit of frozen camera. We'll get that updated here shortly, but I'm sure we have the audio here. My goodness, what an exciting race. From the word go, you were in a bit of a mix. Now, you started all the way down in 6th, finished in 3rd, but the win was not far away. How was that race from your perspective, Stan? We have a copy? We hopefully have a copy. I should have asked if we had a copy first. We don't have a copy at the moment. Stan looking very intensely into the camera, but we do have him up. We will hear from him very shortly. Stan, we got a copy? No. Okay. Well, Carson, as we will still... oh, goodness. Okay, it's just me. No, they can't hear us now that we've gone to the screen. No, my audio is not coming through. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. Look at this. Again, live TV, folks. You gotta love live TV. As we have it, we're trying to get the interviews going on here. It just is what it is. This is the nature of the beast. But, yeah, hearing from Stanislav soon. Again, it was a yo-yo performance. Well, I wouldn't say yo-yo. It was the yo-yo ended up in the upright position, no doubt. But started down in 6th with not the most exciting qualifying. Did he get lucky, potentially, from some incidents early on? No, I don't think he did. I think that was down... all things considered, got through some dicey incidents, made a couple touches with the wall as well that almost put him into some strife. But Carson, all throughout, Stan driving quite the dominant race, and again, looking quite talented throughout it. It was just towards the end that he almost, I don't want to say fell off a cliff, but something just towards the end of this race just didn't work out for him.
Not quite fatigue, but maybe something of the sorts. And you kind of think at a certain point, Stanislav got a little lucky with that first incident, putting them in the right position. But, I mean, if you're not talented enough to stay there, you wouldn't. And Stanislav did. Really good job. Really, really good job by them to get into that position and race the way they did. They were awesome. And just such a cool section from them. And, I mean, Illinoisan, not sure if they're an Illinois native, but said Illinois in the club. And, you know, respect to my home state, and we got a medal today, so big ups to Illinois, and a lot of drivers from all around the United States here, and some technically not in the United States fully, but super cool race, and I'm so glad I got to partake a part of it in the booth. And honestly, a lot of action packed. It's going to be exciting to see more full grids as we move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to see this develop more. And again, if you are interested, no, I don't have I'll type it in chat. InitEsports.gg/carsim. So CARSIM is what you're looking for, not carsin. So head on over there. The signups are live, and for every single race you can sign up as well. So not just one. You can sign up for any amount of them. You can sign up later. You can do whatever you want. It's all about just getting involved and getting out there. And also a big shout out to the Init Esports Discord if you want to keep up to date with everything regarding that. We also here on the Init Esports channel have Init Talks. We just had one recently, and we're going to have one not this week but next week. So we'll be back with that every other week now. We do the Init Talks, get some interviews with some various women throughout the motorsports community, as well as now men. We breached out, of course, into that as well, so we get to see the perspective of not just the drivers, but the engineers, the mechanics, the people that are behind the scenes as well when it comes to the sponsors and the people that provide the money for some of the stuff as well that own these companies, and drivers as well. So if you want to hear any of that, again, hit that follow button here on the Init Esports Twitch channel. We recently just had a follow from Kaliasopi as well, so thank you for that. Let's try this again, folks. I think here we have Stan, and we have a copy this time. Stan, do we got you?
Hello, guys. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Hello, Stan. I gotta say, let's try this again. So, great race all the way from the beginning. Started 6th, carved your way up into 2nd, 3rd, 1st. I mean, in that mix, I would say, throughout the midst of pretty much through lap 60 or 70, you made it up to. But then after that, it sort of, was it the tires? Was it the fuel? Was it Johnson that kind of just ran you out of your money? What was it at the end that just kind of didn't get you to that victory?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but the race was pretty good until the half of the race, and after this, it went a little bit in wrong direction. The strategies didn't work as I planned, and yeah, Johnson was able to get me in the last lap, which is perfectly fine. I mean, he fought pretty good. So yeah, but it was nice race. I mean, Indianapolis, one of the best race, one of my favorite tracks. And next week will be the big event about this one. So yeah, perfect. I love this race.
No, absolutely. And it showed, I have to say, Stan, you know, when you were out there, you were giving it your absolute all. Jordan Johnson being sort of your best friend throughout there tonight. You guys it was a love-hate relationship, I think, to describe the battles between you there. How was that battling with Johnson?
Yeah, it's nice. The last time I didn't fight enough just to get my position, just to hold my P2, but P3 is still okay. It's anyway not P1, so we can crash in the last lap and the last corner, but it doesn't mean, I mean, we don't deserve to finish the race, not finish the race, I would say. So yeah, I just
if you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, it is. I mean, or you first or whatever.
No, I can respect that. But again, you know, for the Team USA Talent Scout event, it's not necessarily about coming first. It's about showing your medal. And I got to say, Stanislav, you showed your medal today all the way through and through. Is there anyone that you'd like to thank before we do move on here tonight?
Yeah, so thank you to all your team to create this kind of perfect events. I mean, I found when Moses sent about Delara, I basically run in a racing, usually IndyCar racing. Mostly, not a lot of roads or Formula cars, but and I see it's Indianapolis 250. It's half of the race. Why not? And thank you to all your team. Like it's a perfect event. Thank you.
No problem, of course. And now that begs the question: Watkins Glen 90 is up next. Are we going to see you out on track?
I will try maybe on a sports car. I'm not a very good driver. I don't understand how the sports car works. I like formulas and IndyCar most. So that's why, I mean, but we will see. Maybe I will attend this walking event. I don't expect a lot from me, but I can try.
Hey, I love to hear. We'd love to see you out on track regardless. I'd love to see you out there, Stanislav, and a great job tonight. Again, P3 finish. While it was a P3, it wasn't P1. You put on an absolute show, and that is something that you can be proud of. Have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Now, soon we'll be having Carson, I think, catching up with our P2 finisher as well. Jordan Johnson here. We'll be beginning that up in a moment. But Carson, hearing Stan there, an Indy expert, maybe not quite so when it comes to the circuits. This is the recipe that I love to see. This is where the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by Moza is so awesome, because you get to see the two sides of racing and they come together, and you get to see strengths, you get to see weaknesses. We know Russell, he's a circuit racer. How did he perform on the Indy? Well, he DNF'd. So hopefully that doesn't happen to Stanislav in Watkins Glen, but it just goes to show that it's not really, driving is not just driving. It is down to the caliber of car, the type of racing that you have, and the talents within it.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me, as we wait for our next interview, I'll make a comparison that I feel like this pool of events has really got me thinking of. It's a lot like Cars 2, right? Yes, Cars 2, where you have all the drivers from different places and different talents driving on the same track. It's a lot of fun, and it's a pretty reminiscent of that all around the United States. You have people obviously specializing in different races, but honestly, if you can handle an Indy car, you can probably handle figuring out Watkins Glen, at least when on the left turns, maybe not the right ones. But Watkins Glen's such a fun track. It's unbridled with how close the racing can be. On certain parts, you have the S's. It's a lot to look forward to. My favorite part is the S's, of course, and that is going to be a ton of fun. Hopefully we'll have a bigger pool for that and a bit more chaos, and maybe some new stories rising through the other line. You know what we love? Telling those fun new storylines. It's our whole job, actually, so it's a lot of fun.
No, it absolutely is. And, seeing again, I want to see what Russell has to do out there. Again, he was the kind of one of my picks for tonight, and I just expected that out of Russell's experience, he was going to be up there. But again, showing those the weaknesses for one type of circuit. Russell, he had one incident that led to another that led to the final nail in the coffin with a barrier, and ended up DNFing there, down 9 positions from where he started in 11th. And seeing the other drivers, let's not just talk about our top 3 here as well. Rex Jariwala, kind of a yo-yo performance as well from him all the way throughout, a name that I don't think we saw in the Sebring 90, so a new name to the Indy Series, and really giving it his all, up 1 position from where he started. But the battling between him, Jeffrey Simpson, him and Sean Roberts, and credit to Sean Roberts as well, it is absolutely just this entire field packed with talent.
Excuse me, some of that talent here soon. We'll get right into that interview with Jordan Johnson. Whenever I get transitioned over, we'll just cut off wherever I'm talking to there. And we're actually going to cut it off before I even start. Jordan, do we have a copy?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Hello and hi, Jordan. How was that race? You're in second place. Let's start with how you feel about that one, because right at the end, you brought Stanislav to the very end, and you got that silver medal in this race. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was a nice finish. I was really just kind of biding my time once I caught up to Stan's rear end right in the last 4 laps or so. But yeah, I mean, overall general sense of frustration. It was a lot of things went wrong for me this week, and it just couldn't get things together. Especially sitting in my pit box for 6-7 seconds, and that last pit stop really hurt me, because that ended up being the gap to Ricky at the end. So yeah, a lot of frustration, but I mean, there was also a lot of good things to take away as well. Pace was good. We were managing the traffic well. Fuel was really good. It felt like you were best in class in that fuel management. So got a lot of good takeaways.
Absolutely. And you talk about you and Stanislav again fighting once Paz pitted earlier around that lap 60 mark. Do you think that pit stop right there that Paz made, the bit of a risk to go way earlier than everybody else, do you think that's what won them the race?
No, not necessarily, because it came back to us in the end. Really kind of the fighting we had with Stan at the end, and kind of just a little bit of small mistakes on my part opened up the gap too much. And then again, coming to that final stop, we were going to regain all the time, and if anything, we were going to come out right on Ricky's nose, or at least side by side, to the point that we were going to have a battle to the end. But I just made my own mistakes in the pit stop, so and there's nothing really to blame. At the end of the day, we were going to be in a good spot. Athena, who was spotting for me, was giving me a great strategy, great calls, and I just kind of threw it all away in that last stop.
Yeah, it happens. And any improvements that you're maybe going to try and make, or are you going to be participating in the Watkins 90?
Yeah, I should be in their Watkins 90. Another case of running into a car that I'm not very comfortable with, and classically GTP driver, so going to be running everything for Watkins prep for that, and then I have to jump back over to GT3, get adjusted to it. So we'll see how that goes. It worked pretty well in Sebring, and we'll see where we take it from there.
Yeah, that sounds good. And my final question, is there anybody you'd like to thank for this race? Anybody you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, of course, just my team, Apex Racing team, and all the support they've given us, Simputer, PC Systems, and BRS SDK Gaming. Just, they make it a dream to be able to run this every day, day in, day out. Give me a lot of support. Were able to give me a setup that was pretty good to work with, and hopefully we'll be able to make something happen with it in the Indy 500 coming up in the next few weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good luck with those events in the future, Jordan. Have a good night.
Thank you, too.
Carson,
excellent words.
Hearing that mention from Jordan Johnson there, also with Athena Leclerc as their crew chief, that is awesome to hear. With again, Athena Leclerc being one of the Screen to Speed Vegas finalists, so definitely a driver with a little bit of talent under her belt as well, being the spotter on this one there for Jordan Johnson. So definitely playing some roles and playing them valuably, as the spotter was needed on more than one occasion.
Yeah, I mean, you want someone that's experienced and that you know very well, and I mean, those two obviously have a history in the past, and it's helped them probably a lot there. You want your spotter to be somebody who you know very well, who you believe in, and who you won't mind talking to you for about nonstop for about multiple hours here. But yeah, a really good performance from Johnson, and I think my questions are a little bit mean-spirited on accident, but I do want to say that Johnson did a really good job. In second place is nothing to scoff at, and wanted that first place, obviously, and believed they could get it. And I mean, Johnson probably just a few split-second mistakes away from winning that race, and a really good show from them.
Yeah, and he mentioned his pit stop, at the end of the day there, having that extra time spent in the lane. That's always something that, especially when it happens, you kick yourself for at the end of it. And was that the difference maker? Maybe. It's hard to tell, right? Nobody really knows this stage. It could have been the difference. The time was the difference. So that, it would have made a different finish. And let's say that with Ricky Paz side by side with Jordan Johnson. And would it have been Jordan going to the inside of Ricky? It may have been, but we know that it was Ricky Paz that, well, sort of capitalized on the mistakes of Jordan Johnson there and kind of walked away smiling. But Jordan taking it on the chin, respect to him there for that one. He definitely sounded not upset about the victory, but, not quite a very racing driver response, I think is what I would expect there.
Yeah, and that's what you like to hear as we get into one of the racing drivers who did a pretty good job today. I think I would say is a bit of an understatement. A lot of talent in this field, and really, really happy to see it. And you just love an event like this to see all these drivers come out and participate, and some of them win.
Yes, indeed. And that won is the man on screen right now, Ricky Paz. Ricky, how are you doing? The victory for the Indy 250 powered by Moza. This has to feel pretty good.
I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and I honestly did not expect this. I think it was quite the interesting night for us. Got into the session, immediately started running practice laps, and was really hoping for a good qualifying because the qualifying can really make the difference here in these IndyCar races. And with this being the discipline that I probably spend the most time with specifically the IndyCar and the NASCAR ovals, I just knew that I had to keep my nose clean, and I was really surprised by qualifying. I was really happy with qualifying. Having the number one pit stall was good racing with Jordan, and then of course, you guys have been talking about it all night. That early pit stop kind of sealed the deal. So it was quite the race, but man, I don't think I've ever been so excited. I didn't know that, I'm just, elated.
I love it. No, and so Ricky, let's talk about that pit strategy, because in the moment, I was unsure. I was like, what the heck is this undercut? Going for it early, pulling yourself out of a battle, a pack. You had some friends to work with, and you said, no, I don't care about friends. I'm in it for myself. And my goodness, you delivered. What was it that made you make that call?
I gotta be honest, I wasn't sure either, and I don't think that my spotter was either. We were working with Jordan. Jordan and I have a good history from, just racing together for the last couple of years. And so I knew that he was a person that I could trust. And my spotter, of course, his spotter, Athena, and my spotter, Lee, they also go way back. So I think the four of us know how each other races. And we really wanted to work together. I was trying to get him to pit with us, but it wasn't meant to be. And so we made the pit stop, and I was like, all right, well, I'll have the fastest pit in that I can have, fastest pit out that I can have, got to nail the pit stop. And we nailed the pit stop. And then, it coincided with the time that Stanislav caught Jordan. So I just knew that if they battled and I could, hit my marks and full push to the end, that we would be in a chance to win it. And, lucky for us, I think that was just the perfect call. And, I can't say enough to my strategist, Lee Overton, and obviously to Jordan for racing us clean and working with us in the opening stints of the race.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about the opening stages, because you started in first. You did not remain in first for that long. It was back and forth. I mean, you and Jordan were trading back positions left and right. Now, it was all calculated. You were lifting off, saving a little bit of fuel, saving a little bit of tires here and there. But then Stanislav arrives, and you're like, I'm assuming at that point, what the heck? How did he end up there? And all of a sudden, that two-way kind of dominant lead that you guys had, it wasn't that dominant anymore. And did that kind of throw some pressure onto your shoulders?
Yeah, that's right, Mike. It definitely threw some pressure on our shoulders. I think, with Jordan and I, we were able to drive away. We knew what we needed to do. We know that we were hitting our fuel delta and saving the amount we needed to save. And then Stan arrived, and all credit to Stan. Stan's a person that I raced with a lot in the official races as well, and he's pretty quick. So credit to him where credit is due. I think he pushed us a little bit harder, but realistically, the caution at lap 25 or so is what really sealed the deal. Jordan and I were saving fuel. We were going to make this a two-stop race, and unfortunately, with the caution at lap 25, couldn't do 75 laps on 2 tanks of fuel. So we needed to do a short stop, and I think from there it was just full push. And seeing the fact that Stanislav and Jordan were battling, I didn't really want any part of it. I was just like, let me sit here, let me ride, and kind of let them duke it out. And then when it's time to attack, I attacked, and it was the perfect opportunity for us.
You attacked and you executed to superlative nature. Now, let's talk a little bit about the future. Watkins Glen, is that going to be a race that you're taking part of? And if so, are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I think, I just found out about this through Moza. Shout out Moza Racing. Here we go. Got to get the Moza Racing shout out, right? I found out about this through Moza, so I signed up. Being an Indiana native, I was like, of course I'm going to do the Indy 500. And, the Indy 500's coming up in real life, and then the next 2 weeks in iRacing. So this was good practice for the esports stuff as well. I think going forward, I'd love to come back. I think it's not every single day that you get the opportunity to make a good impression for yourself and to show what you're really capable of to people that are scouting for the Olympics. So I think that that's a really cool opportunity that I would be silly to pass up on. So, we'll show up and we'll do what we can. And as long as we keep having good races like this and making for good TV, I think it'll be pretty fun.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to see you back out there, Ricky. Now, before we move on here tonight, is there anybody that you would like to thank?
Sure, yeah. Definitely thanks to Mike and Carson for putting on the show and the entire broadcast team behind the booth. I got to thank my spotter, Lee Overton. Got to thank my team, Overton Speed Shop and Vortex Motorsports, and the Orange Wheel Racing guys. All those guys helped me train and become better. Got to thank all of the people that support me at home, my family, my parents, my siblings, my wonderful girlfriend, Hallie. Love you. She's watching, so thank you. And just thanks to Calasipes in chat too. Calasipes in chat. So thanks to Calasipes. Got to get the Calasipes and Zapicki hype. Really, really happy to be here, and thank you for the opportunity, guys. This is I'm elated.
Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Ricky, enjoy the rest of your evening, and most importantly, enjoy the milk, brother, and it's gonna taste sweet.
Thank you. Yes.
Ricky Paz, everybody, your race winner for the Team USA Talent Scout event, the Indy 250, powered by Moza. Carson, I gotta say, one of the best interviews I think we've ever had. Ricky, he is absolutely elated, and I would be too.
Yeah, I mean, gotta feel good about that. It's a big win and a big event, obviously, and later sign up. But I'm really glad Ricky was able to come here and win. And excuse me, and a really good job from Ricky there to win. And obviously, some tough calls going to these races, and the ones that win typically make those gambles and win. It's not Vegas, but something close to that there. It's almost like horse racing, like the olden days of the Indy. But the Brickyard there gives us another treat, and Ricky, treat of a person. Very fun interview.
Absolutely, folks. That's going to do it here as well for tonight. I want to remind everybody the signups are still available for the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by Moza. The Watkins Glen 90 is up next. GT3 cars tackle the Glen on June 21st. I almost said May 3rd. That's today, folks. No, of course, the Indy race, a brilliant conclusion to this one, and awesome interviews through and throughout. A big shout out, of course, to our top three, but all the drivers, of course, that took part in this event. Ricky Paz was the one to take the victory. Jordan Johnson second, and Stanislav down in third. Carson, is there anything that you'd like to say before we conclude this one?
I guess I'd give a final counter to Greek mythology references from US 2 tonight. That's all I've got to say, and huge thank you for Init Esports for allowing me to talk shop tonight. A really good opportunity. I'm glad I got to drive home for it, and thank you huge much to the Init Esports teams, the production team, and all the drivers for racing tonight, and a huge thank to our sponsors, Moza Racing, for helping us put this on.
Absolutely, folks. On that note, yes, indeed, a massive thank you to our producer, Tom Bryant, behind the scenes, who stayed up to ungodly hours to get this stream done. So massive shout out to Tom for being a legend. And as you said, we'll leave it on this, folks. A big shout out to Moza for being the official hardware partner of the Team USA. I hope everybody has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you.